Chapter 893, Hall Elder to the Rescue. The Saint artifact shone with a faint golden light as it borrowed the force of the 7 attacks to propel itself. It was extremely fast, disappearing off into the distance in the blink of an eye. Chase it! The 4 divine generals and the 3 disciplinary elders all began to pursue it. Although it had disappeared from their range of vision, they were still able to find its trace through its presence. However, an additional thought appeared in the heads of all 7 of them. Other than wanting to take Jian Qin back, they also coveted the Saint artifact. A treasure that could remain unscathed after their 7 attacks, as well as store people inside it. This was enough to even entice experts of their level. Stop them! Lei Batian yelled. Together with Qing Yishuan, Mo Ziren, and O Yun, they devoted all their strength into stopping the 7 of them. However, they would also look toward the direction in which the artifact had flown off from the corner of their eyes from time to time, as a light in their eyes danced. Even the 4 of them felt slightly tempted by such a wondrous treasure. However, they did not forget about their mission and did not forget that they had been personally ordered by the Hall Master of the Sea Goddess Hall to bring them back safely. The Saint artifact traveled several hundred kilometers before finally running out of force. It also began to slow down, which was followed up by a flash of light. The 3 of them appeared out of nowhere, and the Saint artifact turned into a streak of golden light before disappearing into the center of Jian Chen's eyebrows. The Saint artifact is not as fast as us. We can't stay in there forever, as it'll be troublesome if the people of the Serpent God Hall or the Heaven's Spirit Hall catch it and take it back to their respective halls, growled Jian Chen. The hall masters of both halls were Saint Emperors, so they possessed the strength to break the artifact. Looks like the Sea Goddess Hall sent the 4 of them for us. Fortunately, you haven't offended them as well, or there'll be no more places in the vast realm of the sea for me. We better leave fast and get to the Sea Goddess Hall's territory as soon as possible, Xia Wang said grimly. There was a slight worry in his voice as he found it extremely difficult to remain calm with the pursuit of 7 fifth heavenly layer Saint Kings. The trio immediately pushed their speeds to the limit. They were only 100,000 kilometers away from the border now. Very quickly, 3 vast presences appeared from behind. 3 of the 7 had managed to break free of Lei Batian's group and were currently flying at great speeds toward the 3 of them. Lei Batian and the other 3 tailed closely behind, wanting to stop the 3 of them. Behind them were another 4 experts, who wanted to stop Lei Batian's group in return. They wanted to let the 3 people ahead to stop Jian Chen's group. As they hurried the chase, they quickly drew closer to Jian Chen's trio. As the 11 vast presences flew over countless tribes and clans recklessly, it alarmed many people of the sea race, creating a huge disturbance. A great battle between 11 16th star experts was extremely rare in this world. It was uncommon even over the span of thousands of years. This would definitely resound through the entire sea realm. In that moment, there were several saint rulers who tailed behind the 11 experts of the 3 halls, as well as an extremely low number of saint kings. They had come to watch the show. None of them interfered with it. Jian Chen, Nubi's, and Xia Wang's hearts began to thump heavily once again when they saw the 3 Saint Kings were catching up from behind them. The Saint Kings were faster, so the 3 of them were probably going to be caught up by the Saint Kings before they could even flee to the Sea Goddess Hall's territory if this continued. A sliver of determination flashed through Nubi's eyes. He gritted his teeth. I'll burn my vital essence to flee with the 2 of you. With that, golden flames immediately covered Nubi's. These flames did not have any heat, but they were extremely dazzling in the blue sea realm, like a sun that radiated brightly. Nubi's paid the price of his vital essence for supreme speed. Together with Jian Chen and Nubi's, they turned into a golden comet that shot off into the distance. Nubi's did not want to do this, but he did not have the choice now that the situation was like this. The golden flames surged around Nubi's body as his vital essence was rapidly consumed. His flesh began to wither at a visible rate as his body shrunk. Nubi's presence became weaker and weaker as his vital essence was consumed. His strength was waning, but his speed had increased to a terrifying level in return. He was already as fast as a fourth heavenly layer Saint King. Even though he had burned his vital essence, Nubis was still not as fast as the people who followed behind them. However, it at least gave them some room to flee, preventing them from catching up temporarily. God damn it, how did he increase his speed so much? The expressions of the three people behind them all changed. There were only 30 kilometers before they reached the territory of the Sea Goddess Hall. Go, go, go. We're almost there. We'll be safe once we get there. The three of them also experienced a wave of anxiety. They stared back fixedly at the three Saint Kings who were only a little more than 30 kilometers away. The three Saint Kings no longer dared to send long-range attacks at them as they were worried over the fact that it might help them instead of injuring them. This lasted for around 20 minutes. The trio arrived at the border between the Heaven Spirit Hall and the Sea Goddess Hall finally. The three Saint Kings were only 10 kilometers away from them just as they were about to leave. We can't let them cross over. Freeze the space, cried out a divine general. In that moment, the three people who belonged to different organizations worked together with tacit teamwork. They froze the space together. Immediately, the surroundings of the trio began to quickly freeze. They wanted to trap the three of them and stop them from running. However, it was not easy to freeze space from 10 meters away even though they were Saint Kings. They needed a moment of time to complete it. The frozen space quickly spread forward, chasing up to the three of them without much time. Newbies, fly a little faster. Jian Chen cried out hurriedly. They were extremely close to the border. Shit, the frozen space is almost caught up with us. Go faster. Xia Wang was also frantic, crying out anxiously. Nubis clenched his teeth and yelled. The golden flames around him became even brighter as they shot forward with an even speed greater than before. In the end, they successfully crossed the border before the frozen space had reached them, entering the territory of the Sea Goddess Hall. However, before they could celebrate, the frozen space quickly crossed the border as well. It directly enveloped the three of them and bound them tightly. Their hearts immediately sank and their faces became extremely ugly. If the people of the two halls ignored the agreement and trespassed into the Sea Goddess Hall's land, they would be done for. Disciplinary elders of the Heaven Spirit Hall, divine generals of the Serpent God Hall, you are people of the halls. Are you trying to ignore the agreement between us three halls and want to move against people in the land of the Sea Goddess Hall? Lei Beishan's heavy voice resounded from behind. His voice was furious. The three Saint Kings that trapped Jian Chen's group ignored Lei Beishan's words. They crossed the border in unison, each grabbing at one of them in an attempt to pull them out from the Sea Goddess Hall's land. We're done for, thought Xia Wang as he sighed secretly. The flames of hope in his heart were immediately extinguished and even Nubi's and Jian Chen's faces sank. They put in so much effort and finally managed to escape into the Sea Goddess Hall's land from the seven Saint Kings, but never did they think it was still not enough for them to avoid the outcome of being caught. The three experts each grabbed one of their shoulders. Just as they were about to drag them back across the border, their expressions changed. They became filled with shock. They had suddenly discovered that they had actually been silently trapped by a mysterious force and could not move at all. The three of them were fifth heavenly layer Saint Kings. Even among the entire sea realm, they were some of the few experts that stood on the very top. Yet, someone had managed to immobilize the three of them without them noticing. Just how powerful was this person? They were astounded. This is an ability of the Imperial clan. It's the immobilization technique that was made for controlling people, cried out one of the divine generals. His face had already drained of blood. Crap, there is someone from the Imperial clan helping out from the shadows. We're stuck. One of the disciplinary elders realized this very quickly, immediately crying out as well to alert his companions. Lei Tianba, Qing Yishuan, Mo Ziren, and O Yun had all crossed the border as well, returning to the land of the Sea Goddess Hall. Meanwhile, the four experts from the other two halls stopped at the border of the Heaven Spirit Hall. They looked at the three trapped Saint Kings uneasily, unwilling to move forward to help out at all. Your serpent god Hall and heaven's spirit Hall sure are brave to trespass the land of the sea goddess Hall. A gentle, lively voice lingered in the air. A blue-dressed woman who possessed a great beauty had appeared out of nowhere. The woman had extremely delicate features, while her blue hair ran down her shoulders like a waterfall. She carried a meter-long blue staff, floating 100 meters in the air with her feet bare. She did not have any aura, but she seemed like a part of the surroundings. The 7 saint kings from the 2 halls all became stunned when they saw her. Their faces drained of blood, while Lei Batian and the other 3 rejoiced. They clasped their hands toward the woman together and said, "We greet the hall elder." Chapter 894, Sculpture of the Sea Goddess, a Hall Elder. Jian Chen, Nubis, and Xia Wang were all shocked. They raised their heads to look at the woman as unconcealable amazement flooded their faces. The hall elder before them was just too young and too pretty. The number of people who could rival her beauty even on the Tianyuan continent could be counted on a single hand. The number 1 hall elder of the sea goddess Hall, Atlantis, who was only second to the hall master. The 4 experts in the Heaven's Spirit Hall's land all cried out as they stared at her in shock. Atlantis, it's actually Atlantis. SSSS doesn't she never leave the hall? Why has she come out personally today? The 3 trapped saint kings were all pale-faced and not even a shred of blood remained in their faces. Atlantis' name was like thunder to the 16th star elders. She was undoubtedly the 4th strongest among the sea realm, having reached the peak of the 16th star years ago. She was extremely powerful, invincible among her level of cultivation. Only the 3 hall masters could defeat her. In other words, without the slightest exaggeration, Atlantis was the strongest within the sea realm outside of the 3 hall masters. We're done. We're completely done. I never thought Atlantis would come here. Even if the 7 of us work together, we're doomed. The 3 trapped experts became dejected and lost all thought of resistance. They had trespassed another hall's territory without permission. They were bound to receive an extremely harsh punishment. Even though it was unlikely to threaten their lives, as 16th star experts, they would actually have to be punished. This was an extremely disgraceful matter. They would no longer have the dignity to see anyone once they returned. In the blink of an eye, the situation changed with Atlantis' appearance. Not only did she deter the 7 experts, she became the greatest safeguard for Jian Chen, Nubis, and Xia Wang's safety. Atlantis swept her gaze past the 3 of them coldly. However, she paused slightly when she saw Jian Chen and Nubis, while a sliver of surprise flashed through her remorseless eyes. She then asked Lei Batian's group. Are they the people that the hall master wants? Yes, hall elder. They are the people that she wants. This has also been confirmed by the abyssal bird, so it's impossible for there to be any mistakes, Lei Batian replied softly. The hall master wants to see them immediately. You 4 will deliver them to the hall, Atlantis spoke as usual without any emotion in her voice. As soon as she finished speaking, the invisible force around Jian Chen and the other 2 disappeared. They had been freed. Yes, hall elder, Lei Batian replied politely. Afterward, he waved his hand and an invisible energy immediately surrounded the 3 of them. Wait! Jian Chen said suddenly. It caused Lei Batian to pause out of instinct. After that, he immediately looked toward Jian Chen in doubt. Jian Chen glared toward one of the divine generals of the Heaven's Spirit Hall and growled, Sir, are you able to return to me the item you stole? This divine general had taken Jian Chen's golden silk mail and put it away in his space ring. His expression immediately twitched when he heard this. He looked at the emotionless Atlantis in the sky. Fear appeared in the depths of his eyes. However, he realized very quickly that he had not crossed over the border. Atlantis could not do anything to him even though she was very powerful. All the fear disappeared from him immediately as he thought up to there and he sneered, Hee, this mail sure is outstanding to be able to remain unscathed after taking an attack of mine. But if you want it back, you better exchange it for the item you took from us. Otherwise, don't even think about that. Throwing that down, he glanced at his companion before leaving. They flew back toward the territory of the Serpent God Hall. The two of them paid no further attention to their other two companions trapped by Atlantis, as they already knew what their outcome would be like. Staying behind would not be of any help. Instead, it was extremely likely that they would be stopped by the other experts of the Heaven's Spirit Hall currently hurrying over and end up just like the two of them. They would be more in for a loss than anything positive at that time. Jian Chen clenched his fists tightly as he watched the two divine generals fly off. A frigid light flickered in his eyes as he growled, "One day, I will make you regret what you have done today." The golden silk mail was made from the silk of a primordial god silkworm that the world had given birth to. It was an extremely rare material. Jian Chen had learned of its value from the sword spirits. It was a supreme treasure for defense. However, the silk mail could only block attacks from saint rulers for some reason. Jian Chen clearly knew the reason for this. It was because the silk mail still had an endless, untapped potential within it. Its true powers were not just that. "Let's go," Lei Batian called to them. Afterward, he left with the three of them, heading directly for the Sea Goddess Hall. Atlantis glanced coldly past the three trapped experts after Jian Chen's group had left. She said emotionlessly, "You three come with me to the Sea Goddess Hall. The Hall Master will deal with you." She gently waved her staff, which immediately encased them in a ring of blue light. It sealed their strength, before turning into pieces of blue rope that was connected to her hand. Atlantis held onto the 3 pieces of rope as she led the 3 of them toward the hall. They were met with the curious gazes of many experts along the way who all pointed and discussed about them. In that moment, the 3 Saint Kings trapped by her were even willing to die. They were supreme 16th star experts, yet they were currently in such a miserable circumstance. Jian Chen, Nubis, and Xia Wang flew with Lei Batian, traveling at an extremely fast speed. Qing Yishuan, Mo Ziren, and O Yun flew beside them as escorts. Nubis was pale and haggard. He was extremely weak right now. He had ignited his vital essence earlier to boost his speed beyond his limit, which caused him a great loss. His strength had decreased by quite the amount, falling back to the 9th heavenly layer from an inch away from Saint King. "We're finally saved. This matter will be the proudest thing in my entire life. I actually survived the pursuit of 7 16th star experts and escaped successfully." Xia Wang's heart was filled with excitement. He felt like he was in a dream when he thought about what he had experienced a few days ago as he fled. That was how thrilling it was. Never did he even consider that mere saint rulers would be able to escape the pursuit of several elders from 2 halls successfully. "Looks like sticking with them was the right decision for me. I heard from those elders that they seem to be the rulers of some tribe. They're noble, so they shouldn't be tricking me. I'll definitely be getting my divine water within 50 years, Xia Wang thought secretly. His flames of hope were reignited once more, no longer as despaired as before. Jian Chen looked toward Nubis in concern and said, "Nubis, do you want to recover in the artifact space?" Nubis nodded as he replied, "I might as well. I've consumed some of my vital essence, so I need to replenish it as soon as possible or it'll leave behind long-term effects, which will affect me greatly in the future." Without any hesitation, the saint artifact was summoned by Jian Chen with a thought. It immediately shot out from the center of the Jian Chen's eyebrows as a streak of golden light, landing directly in his palm. Afterward, it sucked Nubis away. The saint artifact had been exposed already when they were fleeing, so there was no longer the need to keep it hidden anymore. The saint artifact's appearance immediately attracted the attention of the 4 Saint Kings. They stared at the tiny golden tower curiously and could not help but ask, "Brother, just what is that?" "It can store living people." Unbelievable. This was something Junior obtained accidentally. Junior only knows of its abilities but not its origins or name. Jian Chen made up a casual lie. He did not dare mention its true origins. In the sea realm, there were no radiant saint masters, so they all used different types of medicines or methods of healing to recover from injuries. They were all very slow, so if they learned of the artifact's real origin, it might cause a huge commotion in the entire realm. The saint artifact shot back toward his forehead and disappeared. The wondrous scene immediately caused the four of them to stare with wide eyes as disbelief flooded their faces. "Brother, can you even store that object in your head?" Oh Yun said in amazement. This had completely overturned everything he knew. Jian Qin nodded but did not give any further details. "What a wondrous treasure," said Imo Ziren with a sigh. However, none of them noticed that Qin Yishuan had now become uneasy. The light in her eyes flickered as she thought of something. After half a day of flight, they finally arrived at the Sea Goddess Hall with Jian Qin. The Sea Goddess Hall was in the center of the territory. It was a humongous floating palace which radiated a certain pressure. At the very top stood a huge, 300-meter-tall stone sculpture. It stood like a consecrated divine spirit. It was a sculpture of a woman with a blurry appearance. It was sculpted in a way where it seemed realistic. The top half of her was human, while the bottom half of her was like a fish. She was a weird combination of a fish and a human. Jian Qin felt deluded the moment he saw this sculpture. He felt like he had seen a world, not a sculpture. Jian Qin understood that the woman must have reached an extremely high level of cultivation when she was still alive, or she would not have been able to give off such a feeling. The sculpted person is the great sea goddess of the sea race. In so many years, she's the only member of the sea race who managed to surpass Saint Emperor. She's someone who stood beside the #1 human expert, Mo Tianyun, the winged tiger god and the war god of the 100 races in the ancient times. Lei Batian explained. "Sea goddess," murmured Jian Qin. He felt a familiar feeling from the sculpture. "The hall master wants to meet you. Come with me." Chapter 895, A startling secret. Lei Batian flew with Jian Qin and Xia Wang as he carried a medallion in his hand, directly entering the floating palace. The palace was extremely large. It had thousands of pavilions and buildings, while various exotic species of flowers and herbs grew in the surroundings. They exuded a fragrance that permeated the entire place. A single whiff could refresh the minds and souls of people, allowing them to concentrate and focus. Jian Qin and Xia Wang traveled through the various halls with Lei Batian, Qin Yishuan, O Yun, and Mo Ziren accompanying them. They directly went into the very depths of the palace, coming across squadrons of guards in similar uniforms that patrolled the hallways. Jian Qin could even feel the existence of many experts in the surroundings. Saint rulers were everywhere, and there were even quite a few saint kings. They were all cultivating in their personal halls. Jian Qin constantly paid attention to the blue and green marble floor as he walked and would look around at the surrounding structures from time to time as well. Deep shock could be seen in his eyes. Just through his powerful presence, he could clearly feel a terrifyingly powerful energy hidden within the structures and the floor everywhere. This powerful energy constantly refined every inch of the place, causing all the structures to be extraordinarily tough after countless years. It was likely that even if Jian Qin used all his strength, he would only be able to leave a small mark. At this moment, a wrinkly old man walked over from up ahead. Lei Batian and the other three all clasped their hands hurriedly to greet him as they saw the old man. "We greet the hall elder." The old man glanced past Jian Qin and Xia Wang, before he asked Lei Batian, "Are those the people the hall master wanted you to bring back safely?" "Correct. They are the people who the hall master is looking for," replied Lei Batian. He would glance toward the two of them from time to time, curious about why the hall master treated them with so much importance. The old man stared at the two of them in interest and asked, "Who is Jian Qin?" "Esteemed hall elder, I am Jian Qin." Jian Qin clasped his hands at the old man after taking a step forward. Jian Qin was extremely polite. If the old man before him was placed on the Tianyuan continent, he would be a terrifying expert. He would be one of the very few who stood at the very top, even on the continent. The old man's eyes shone like torches as he looked up and down to examine Jian Chen. He murmured to himself secretly, isn't he just a ruler that hasn't fully matured? Why does the hall master care for him so much? Not only did she send the 4 16th star experts to personally save you from the Heaven Spirit Hall, even Atlantis, who hasn't left the hall since ages ago, went to the border personally because of your arrival. I really wonder why the hall master is spending so much time and energy over the two of you. Come in with me, Jian Chen. The hall master wants to see you personally, the old man said to Jian Chen indifferently. Afterward, he turned around and left. With his lofty status, he would not be inclined to waste his words on two puny saint rulers. Jian Chen, you better go in with the hall elder. Remember, the hall master is a saint emperor. You need to be respectful when you see her. Lei Batian sent a mental message to Jian Chen. Jian Chen nodded slightly before following the hall elder silently. The only people left were Xia Wang and Lei Batian's group, who stood there blankly as they watched Jian Chen grow further away. Jian Chen followed the hall elder and reached the very depths of the hall without any obstructions. Afterward, they entered a beautifully decorated hall. There were two saint rulers who stood dead straight on the two sides of the entrance as guards. They were like sculptures. They're actually using saint rulers as door guards. What extravagancy! Jian Chen was secretly astonished. Outside, all of these people were supreme experts that could lord over a small region. The huge hall was rather empty, there was only an elegant woman on the throne up ahead. The hall elder bowed courteously toward the woman and reported, Jian Chen has arrived. Elder Hong, you can go. The woman's voice was very soft, making it extremely pleasant to hear. Yes, the hall elder slowly backed away. Is this the hall master of the Sea Goddess Hall, one of the 3 supreme saint emperors of the sea realm? Jian Chen gazed at the woman in interest. The lady wore azure clothes that wrapped around her slender figure, while her blue hair ran down her shoulders very casually without any specific grooming. Her face was blurry and obscure, it seemed like it had been covered up by a layer of mist. Even though he currently faced a saint emperor, Jian Chen felt no particular presence from her. She seemed just like an ordinary person. Junior Jian Chen greets the esteemed hall master. Jian Chen clasped his hands toward the lady as he quickly dismissed his thoughts. Boom! With a muffled sound from behind, the doors to the hall had been closed. It cut off all presences and objects from the outside, there were only Jian Chen and the hall master in the large hall now. The hall master stood up from her throne and slowly walked toward Jian Chen with gentle steps. A faint, enchanting fragrance entered Jian Chen's nose. Jian Chen struggled to keep calm as he was so close to a saint emperor. His heart began to beat rapidly, clearly rather anxious. You're the person chosen by Her Majesty, the hall master said with a soft, lively voice. She seemed to be talking to Jian Chen but murmuring to herself at the same time. I can't actually sense the presence of the abyssal crystal from your space ring. Where did you put it? The hall master continued before Jian Chen even had the chance to reply. The abyssal crystal. Jian Chen was stunned, but he reached an understanding very quickly. He asked, is the hall master referring to the key that glows with a blue light? Correct. The hall master walked around Jian Chen, constantly examining him. She murmured in her heart, is this the person chosen by Her Majesty? Does he really have the power to enter there? Junior has a doubt. Just what is this abyssal crystal? I wonder if the hall master can help answer this question, Jian Chen asked. This mysterious key was actually enough to cause the Heaven's Spirit Hall and the Serpent God Hall to fight over it, which made him feel extremely curious about the origins and uses of the key. Her Majesty reached the end of her life and locked herself in her Supreme Divine Hall. Afterward, she moved the Divine Hall into the depths of the Sea of Despair, where it currently floats about. No one is able to find its whereabouts. However, the key is able to lead people to it. As long as someone possesses the key, they'll be able to find the Divine Hall. The Hall Master hid nothing and told Jian Chen the truth. Is that so? No wonder the Serpent God Hall and Heaven's Spirit Hall were fighting over this. So they wanted to enter the Divine Hall and inherit the Sea Goddess legacy, Jian Chen murmured as he understood some things. No, they don't want Her Majesty's legacy when they enter the Divine Hall. Her Majesty may have reached the end of her life, but all she lost was her body. Her soul remains, which has always stayed within the Divine Hall. The Heaven Spirit Hall and Serpent God Hall were fighting over the key as they wanted to go in there and take Her Majesty's spirit. They want to devour it and reach her level of cultivation from all those years ago. The Hall Master revealed a shocking truth and stunned Jian Chen. What? The two halls want to devour the Sea Goddess soul. Jian Chen cried out involuntarily. He was filled with utter disbelief. The Sea Goddess was the goddess of the sea race. She was a respected champion, yet her people wanted to do such things to her. Sigh, Her Majesty has already disappeared for too long. After so many years, Her Majesty's awe is no longer enough to influence all the experts of the sea realm. In these years, every hall master of both halls have tried various ways to find the Divine Hall in an attempt to devour her soul and reach a greater level of cultivation. But the abyssal crystal can only be found in the very depths of the Sea of Despair. The Sea of Despair is boundless and it all looks the same, so it's very easy to get lost. Also, there are many great dangers, even emperors can meet life-threatening dangers if they enter it. As a result, no one was able to find the Divine Hall even after so many years of drifting in the Sea of Despair. However, the crystal on you broke the peace of the sea realm. Jian Chen slowly digested this information as he thought in silence. What he heard from the Hall Master had completely overturned everything he knew about the current situation of the sea realm. He had once learned from Tian Jian that the Sea Goddess was not dead. At that time, he still believed that the Sea Goddess possessed her full strength and was currently the most powerful existence in the world, completely surpassing Saint Emperor. But the truth completely exceeded his expectations. The Sea Goddess was not dead, but she had lost her body. She existed as a soul, only able to hide in the Divine Hall. She could not leave, constantly faced with the threat that the Hall Masters of the Heaven Spirit Hall and the Serpent God Hall would devour her. Jian Chen sucked in a deep breath and slowly calmed himself down. He stared at the Hall Master keenly and said, "Hall Master, do you want Junior to hand the abyssal crystal over to you?" The Hall Master paused and turned toward Jian Chen. Although he could not see her face, he could clearly feel a sharp gaze focused tightly on him. It made his eyes hurt as if they were stabbed with needles. Jian Chen, the Serpent God Hall and the Heaven Spirit Hall may have ill intentions for Her Majesty, but we, the Sea Goddess Hall, remains loyal to Her Majesty. For Her Majesty's safety, you need to hand over the abyssal crystal and temporarily place it in my personal care, said the Hall Master. Jian Chen hesitated slightly. However, he knew that he had no other choice, so he handed the mysterious key over to the Hall Master straightforwardly. Jian Chen, you may not be a member of the sea race, but you've been chosen by Her Majesty. You've also been gifted the Knighten from a member of the Imperial clan to mask your presence. Just stay in the hall in the future and devote yourself to cultivation. Power up as fast as you can. I'll gift you a Hall Elder's medallion. In the future, you can enjoy the same treatment as Hall Elders among the Sea Goddess Hall, said the Hall Master. If Junior became a Hall Elder, Junior will no longer be able to enter the territory of the Serpent God Hall and the Heaven Spirit Hall, right? Asked Jian Chen. Correct. We three halls have an agreement. Without permission, the people of the halls cannot leave their own territory. If that's the case, then Junior will not be taking the medallion. Jian Chen flatly declined the position as a Hall Elder. Compared to the Golden Silk Mail, the name and status of a Hall Elder was nothing. He would take back the Golden Silk Mail from the Divine General one day in the future. Chapter 896. A furious Qing Yishuan. Jian Chen declined the status of a Hall Elder without any hesitation, which caused the Hall Master to stare blankly. This was the first time a saint ruler had ever been offered a position as a Hall Elder within the sea realm. She would not have treated Jian Chen so well if it were not for the fact that he had been chosen by the sea goddess. This was because within the 3 great halls, there was only one method to earn the status and position of a hall elder, and that was to reach the peak of the 16th star. Other than an indication of strength, the position of a hall elder in the sea realm was also a representation of status. It represented supreme glory. The position was only second to the hall master and was the objective of countless members of the sea race. You actually declined my invitation. The hall master's voice was filled with shock. She originally thought that Jian Chen would ravish with joy, but never did she think that he would not show any emotion and would even end up rejecting the position. Are you worried over the fact that it might raise the disagreement of the other hall elders if you become one with your current strength? If that's the case, there's nothing to worry about. The status is personally bestowed by me, so they can't do anything to you, said the hall master. Hall master, a treasure of mine was stolen. When I become strong enough in the future, I need to go to the Serpent God Hall and retrieve it. That's why I can't accept the position, Jian Chen explained. He was worried that his declination would make the hall master unhappy. If that's the case, then forget about it. The hall master walked up to her throne and sat down. She then continued, if that's the case, then you can be a guest of the Sea Goddess Hall. You'll enjoy a similar treatment to Qing Yishuan, Lei Batian, and the others, but you won't be a person of the Sea Goddess Hall. I thank the hall master's bestowal. Jian Chen thanked her with his hands clasped. With the status of a guest, he could move around in the territory of the Sea Goddess Hall much more easily in the future. It would save a lot of pointless trouble. The hall master grabbed at the thin air. Immediately, a powerful energy quickly gathered, before finally condensing into a palm-sized blue medallion. She said, take this medallion. There's a sliver of my presence in there. It's what identifies you as a guest. With it, you can enjoy a similar status to the ordinary elders. You'll be able to move freely through some public spaces of the palace. Jian Chen accepted the medallion and immediately felt the ripples of a vast energy from within it. The medallion was a materialized energy which made it countless times harder than steel. Jian Chen immediately shivered when he realized that the hall master really was a saint emperor after all. She was able to condense vast quantities of energy into the medallion with a wave of her hand. That was some terrifying strength. Jian Chen sighed deeply after he left the hall. Only now was he truly safe, no longer needing to worry over the potential ill intentions of the Sea Goddess Hall. I never thought that the mysterious woman who gave me the water spirit's pearl was the sea goddess. No wonder she had appeared as an apparition of her soul. She only has her soul left. Jian Chen sighed inside. He had learned the true identity of that woman from the hall master. No wonder that mysterious woman knows about the things happening on the Tianyuan continent, and no wonder she was brave enough to declare that she would block the experts from the Beast God continent. Turns out she's the sea goddess of the 4 champions from the ancient times. Jian Chen gasped as he thought back to when he first met the mysterious woman. Never did he think he would meet the sea goddess as soon as he entered the sea realm. The only pity was that he did not know who she was when he had met her. Jian Chen moved through the palace by himself with the medallion in his hand. He walked outside by backtracking the way he came in, coming back to where he had separated from Xia Wang and the other 4 very quickly. The 5 of them had not left and instead remained there waiting for him. However, everyone now looked at him with a weird gaze. Jian Chen, did you meet the esteemed hall master? What did the hall master say? Is she going to make things difficult for us? Are we safe now? Do we have to face the pursuit of the Sea Goddess Hall now? Xia Wang asked nervously. The Sea Goddess Hall was his final sanctuary. He was worried that he might not be able to stay here anymore. Jian Chen revealed a smile. He could understand Xia Wang's worry. Those days of flight had made him rather tired as well. Jian Chen raised the guest's medallion and said, "Don't worry, we're safe now." That's the guest's medallion. You've become a guest of the Sea Goddess Hall. Lei Batian and the other 3 stared wide-eyed at the medallion in disbelief. Right now, they were even doubting their eyes. A mere saint ruler had actually become a guest of the sea goddess hall. Suddenly, Mo Xiren's complexion changed greatly. His eyes immediately popped out as he cried out uncontrollably, "It's the presence of an emperor." The medallion was issued by the hall master herself. What? The expressions of Lei Batian and the other two changed as well when they heard that. Their medallions had all been issued by hall elders, yet Jian Chen's medallion was from the hall master herself. Didn't that mean that Jian Chen's status in the sea goddess hall was now greater than all four of them? Also, basically only hall elders had the right to receive medallions personally issued by the hall master. Jian Chen, just what is relationship do you have the hall master? Why does the hall master treat you so well? Lei Batian asked softly. He was filled with curiosity but also felt some envy and jealousy. I don't know either. But since this is what the hall master has done, she must have her intentions, Jian Chen said vaguely. He did not go into detail. Qing Yishuan stared at Jian Chen fixedly as the light in her eyes flickered. Sensing her gaze, Jian Chen's heart sank slightly. However, he soon remembered that he was in the sea goddess hall and relaxed in the end. He asked, "Senior Qing Yishuan, can you tell me why you're looking at me like that? You're one of the two juniors who robbed me of the Octaterra map fragment before." Qing Yishuan gnashed her teeth. Roaring flames of anger burned in her eyes. She felt bone-deep hatred for this person who had stolen her undergarment. "Senior, do you have any evidence for what you've said?" Jian Chen said shamelessly. You still try to deny it. Even if I have no idea how you changed your presence, but that treasure you possess has sold you out. You hid in that golden treasure when you suddenly approached me before, then used an underhanded method to steal the Octaterra map fragment when I was unaware. I've never heard of a treasure that can store living people in the sea realm, only your treasure has that ability. What else do you have to say now? Qing Yishuan's face was dark like a storm. Jian Chen did not know what to say in that moment. He never thought that it would be the saint artifact that would expose him in the end. Jian Chen understood that it would be extremely difficult to deceive her with the unique ability of the artifact and its dazzling golden light now. Senior is indeed wise. However, Junior had no choice with the matter before as well. I hope Senior can understand and forgive me, Jian Chen said apologetically. So it really was you, Qing Yishuan said coldly as her eyes shone with a piercing light. Why don't you hurry up and return it then? I won't be holding back even if you're a guest of the sea goddess hall otherwise. Qing Yishuan was like an agitated lion right now. Her clothes and hair fluttered and danced despite the absence of wind. Brother, after so much confusion, it really was you who stole the map fragment from Qing Yishuan. My God, respect. I respect you. I really admire you from the bottom of my heart. Lei Batian chuckled. He laughed extremely happily. To one side, Mo Xiren, O Yun, and Xia Wang all formed weird faces. A faint smile formed on their lips, while they admired Jian Chen's bravery secretly. He actually dared to rob Qing Yishuan of the 8 great human experts as a saint ruler, and he had even succeeded. That was a rare, thrilling piece of news. Jian Chen smiled awkwardly when he saw their expressions, before looking toward Qing Yishuan apologetically. He said, Senior, apologies. Junior really caused great offense with what Junior did before. I hope Senior can be the bigger person and forgive me. Junior will return Senior's thing right this instance. With that, Jian Chen pulled out a white cloth from his space ring. The white cloth was the undergarment Jian Chen had taken from Qing Yishuan. It was folded up neatly and it still possessed Qing Yishuan's unique fragrance. Jian Chen thought Qing Yishuan wanted this back, so he absent-mindedly pulled it out. Qing Yishuan's beautiful face became completely flushed when she saw Jian Chen pull out the piece of clothing. She became bright red from ear to ear as her face burned. This, Lei Batian and the other naturally noticed the white cloth in Jian Chen's hand. They recognized exactly what it was with a single glance from their thousands of years of experience. Each and every one of them became tongue-tied. Their faces were filled with disbelief and incredulity. Qing Yishuan, that can't be yours, right? Lei Batian stuttered as he pointed at the white undergarment and stared at the flushed Qing Yishuan. O Yun, Mo Ziren, and Xia Wang all revealed an even weirder expression. Their lips were stretched into a long, flat line, struggling to not burst into laughter. Qing Yishuan became even more embarrassed with what Lei Batian had said. She was tempted to just find a hole and hide in it. She originally wanted Jian Chen to return the Octaterra map fragment, but never did she think that Jian Chen would pull that out, especially before so many people. You bastard, you're dead. Qing Yishuan screamed out with an ear-piercing voice as she raged with shame. She raised her sword and chopped it toward Jian Chen mercilessly. Chapter 897, Ruler of the Turtle Clan. Qing Yishuan bristled with rage. She lifted her sword with her right hand, charging toward Jian Chen as she blushed with killing intent. She was tempted to dice Jian Chen into countless pieces. Qing Yishuan, don't forget that we're in the hall. Lei Batian smiled, but he did not show any intentions of obstructing her. A resplendent blue light rose from the ground and encased Qing Yishuan completely. The blue light did not seem particularly impressive, but it was filled with an extremely powerful energy. It formed a jail that imprisoned Qing Yishuan within. Some more blue light entered her body, sealing off her power. It cut off her control of Saint Force. You bastard, there will be a day where I personally kill you. Despite being immobilized, Qing Yishuan did not calm down at all. She stared viciously at Jian Chen. From her gaze, it seemed like she was tempted to devour Jian Chen whole right there and now. Jian Chen forced a smile as he watched just how furious Qing Yishuan was. If Qing Yishuan really wanted to kill him, he probably would need to remain in the Sea Goddess Hall and never leave. After all, Jian Chen did not even possess the ability to run from a fifth heavenly layer Saint King like Qing Yishuan. Qing Yishuan, brother Jian Chen, is now a guest of the hall and he was appointed by the hall master herself. Do you really think there will be any places left for you if you kill brother Jian Chen? Sniggered Lei Batian. He snickered inside as he saw exactly how irritated Qing Yishuan had become because of a junior. Never would I even think that I would be able to personally witness the defeat of such a prideful woman. Qing Yishuan has really lost all her dignity this time, to have her undergarments stolen by a junior. Lei Batian laughed inside. Qing Yishuan's gaze remained just as vicious as she said furiously, then I'll just leave the Sea Realm and return to the Tianyuan continent. Qing Yishuan, is there really any room left for you on the Tianyuan continent? Do you really want to return to that lifestyle of constant flight? Mo Ziren said gruffly. Mo Ziren's words immediately caused Qing Yishuan to gradually calm down. The light in her eyes flickered with consideration, but her hatred for Jian Chen did not decrease at all. An old man walked over from afar. Qing Yishuan, you can even be considered as one of the senior members of our hall. You should know the rules within the palace perfectly well, so how did you make such a low-level mistake and attack someone within the palace? We greet the hall elder. Lei Batian and the others all clasped their hands at the old man. I greet the hall elder. Jian Chen did not hesitate either, greeting the old man as well. He was the hall elder who had led him to the hall master before. The hall elder's gaze toward Jian Chen had now undergone a huge change. As he glanced at the piece of white cloth in Jian Chen's hand, he immediately understood what was going on. His lips could not help but curl into a faint smile, before he pointed out with a finger. The power of the hall freed Qing Yishuan. Jian Chen, as a sea race ruler, there will definitely be a day where you reach the same level of cultivation as me. You should just call me Elder Hong. Elder Hong was amicable. He then glanced at the furious Qing Yishuan and said unhurriedly, Qing Yishuan, Jian Chen is a ruler, so you should know exactly how important he is to the Sea Goddess Hall. I hope you won't commit an unforgivable mistake over these small matters. Qing Yishuan gritted her teeth but said nothing. She obviously knew what a ruler meant to the hall. They represented a future hall elder. They were able to reach the peak of Saint King at the very least and even had an extremely great chance of reaching Saint Emperor. This was proven by the fact that all three hall masters of the Sea Realm were rulers. Even most of the current hall elders in all three halls were rulers. Elder Hong said to Jian Chen again, "Jian Chen, you're a guest who's been personally appointed by Her Majesty. You may not be strong enough yet, but you'll be able to enjoy the same treatment as all of the other guests. You'll have your own hall inside the palace and receive 100,000 grand quality crystal coins every year." The elder passed a jade pendant to Jian Chen as he said that before continuing, "That's the key to opening your personal hall. You should be able to find your hall using this key, and it should also allow you to control the barrier specially fitted to the hall. If you want to cultivate, you can activate the barrier and separate yourself from the outside world. It'll prevent disruptions." "I thank Elder Hong." Jian Chen thanked him with clasped hands. Elder Hong chuckled and said, "These are the things that you deserve, so there's no need to thank me. Alright, since I've given you everything I need to give you, I need to go complete the Hall Master's mission. It's about time I leave." Elder Hong turned around and departed. "Jian Chen, return the map fragment to me." Qing Yishuan's furious voice resounded in Jian Chen's ears with Elder Hong's departure. All he saw was Qing Yishuan staring viciously at him with a darkened face. Jian Chen shook his head. "Senior, Junior spent so much effort before finally obtaining the map fragment. As Junior still has uses for it, please forgive me for not being able to return it to you." "You," Qing Yishuan was absolutely infuriated. She pointed at Jian Chen as she could not find the right words to say. She did not dare to do anything to Jian Chen right now, so she forcefully swallowed the threat that she had just thought of. "Jian Chen, I will never let this go just like this." Qing Yishuan left angrily after she threw that down. She snatched the white undergarment from Jian Chen's hand as well and ripped it into pieces. "Hee, brother Jian Chen is so talented to reduce such a prideful woman to that. I'd like to see whether she has the dignity to meet people in the future, and I want to see if she'll still act so aloof." Lei Batian could not help but snigger evilly after she had left. Jian Chen, Lei Batian, O Yun, and Mo Ziren then conversed casually, before they all left. Although they were extremely curious about Jian Chen's saint artifact, they no longer dared to have any ill intentions after learning about Jian Chen's relationship with the Sea Goddess Hall. At this very moment, a figure charged over from afar with an extremely great speed. He crossed over a dozen kilometers in the blink of an eye, arriving before Jian Chen. He was a hunchbacked old man who was covered in wrinkles. His hair was a bleak gray and each strand was shriveled. He seemed to have lost the vigor of life. "Ruler's Chi, it's the ruler's Chi. It's the ruler's Chi of my turtle clan." The old man's eyes shone as he stared fixedly at Jian Chen. He was extremely excited. "This is the ruler's Chi of my turtle clan. It's the ruler's Chi of my turtle clan. A ruler has finally appeared from my clan." The old man said with a trembling voice, constantly murmuring to himself as he stared at Jian Chen excitedly. "The turtle clan's ruler's Chi." The old man's words stunned Jian Chen, but he seemed to think of something very quickly. He was secretly surprised as he thought, perhaps it's the ruler's Chi of the water spirit's pearl. Did the sea goddess give me a water spirit's pearl forged from the Niden of a ruler from the turtle clan? Child, tell me. Which tribe do you belong to? The old man said excitedly as he held on to Jian Chen's hand. Senior, you're mistaken. I don't belong to your tribe, Jian Chen explained. He could already see that this uncouth old man was a saint king, not someone he could afford to offend. Since you're not a member of our tribe, then you must be a ruler who has grown up in the wild. Alright, that's even better. I'll take you to the turtle clan this instance. The old man left the hall as he pulled Jian Chen along. He flew toward the outside. Oi Jian Chen, wait for me. Xia Wang chased from behind hurriedly. He now depended on Jian Chen. He would not part with him no matter what. 30,000 years. A whole 30,000 years. A ruler has finally appeared for my turtle clan, the old man muttered constantly. He was extremely excited. Senior, you've mistaken. I'm not a ruler of your turtle clan, Jian Chen constantly explained in an attempt to break free from the old man's grasp. However, the old man's hand clamped tightly onto his arm like a great claw. He was unable to break free no matter how he struggled. All he could do was let the old man tug him off to some unknown place. It's not wrong, there's nothing wrong. People of the same clans will feel a similar response. I can feel the ruler's chi of the turtle clan from you. There's no doubt in you being our ruler, the old man said confidently. As Jian Chen was forcefully taken away from the hall by the old man, the white-clothed Qing Yishuan also appeared silently before the entrance of the palace. She stared coldly at Jian Chen's back and said hatefully, I didn't think you'd leave the palace so quickly. God is really smiling at me. Once I swap the map fragment for that item, I can return to the Tian Yuan continent. Qing Yishuan directly leaped off the floating palace. Afterward, she erased her presence and carefully headed off in Jian Chen's direction. At the same time, the matter where the 4 divine generals of the Serpent God Hall and the 3 disciplinary elders of the Heaven's Spirit Hall fought Qing Yishuan and the other 3 spread like wildfire through the territory of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. In that battle, a total of 11 16th star experts had fought as they retreated, covering a distance of over 100,000 kilometers. Wherever they passed by, the ground below would be obliterated and turned into a mess by the powerful residual energy, alarming many experts. It caused a great commotion within the Heaven's Spirit Hall's territory as various rumors proliferated. At the same time, a similarly shocking piece of news spread in the territory of the Sea Goddess Hall. A disciplinary elder of the Heaven's Spirit Hall and 2 divine generals of the Serpent God Hall had actually been captured by Atlantis, the Hall Elder of the Sea Goddess Hall. They were led away toward the hall with a rope like homeless curs by Atlantis, disgracing themselves. These 2 pieces of news spread throughout the entire sea realm extremely quickly. It caused great shock to countless members of the sea race, while various rumors burgeoned. Many people believed that the peace of the sea realm was about to be broken and war between the 3 halls was about to erupt once again. The Sea Goddess Hall was founded by the great sea goddess herself. She's undoubtedly the greatest ruler in our sea realm. I swear to protect the Sea Goddess Hall. Many supporters of the Sea Goddess Hall swore in their hearts at the same time. Although they lived in the territories of different halls, many people still venerated the Sea Goddess Hall as the greatest. The Sea Goddess might have disappeared for countless years, but the awe she had left behind still affected many of the sea race citizens. 5 hall elders knelt uneasily on the floor in the palace of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. Their faces were all filled with unconcealable fear while a burly, middle-aged man stood in front of all of them. The man's appearance was extremely ordinary without any special features. However, he radiated with a frightening pressure. You pieces of trash, you couldn't even do something so simple. You actually just watched the abyssal crystal get taken away right before your eyes, and a disciplinary elder has even been taken by the Sea Goddess Hall. Just what use do I have for you all? The abyssal crystal was so important, yet you sent other people to go deal with it instead of yourselves. Just how did you miss such a good opportunity? The middle-aged man was furious. Please calm your anger, Hall Master, please calm your anger. The 5 of us managed the matter poorly. Please punish us, Hall Master, a hall elder said with a low voice. Chapter 898, Lurking Danger. What use is there in punishing you? Will punishing you recover the abyssal crystal? The Hall Master of the Heaven's Spirit Hall said heavily. His eyes shone with an outrageous light, while an invisible pressure permeated the entire palace vaguely. The entire world seemed to be in his control. We've disgraced ourselves this time. Not only were 2 elders killed by 3 14th star brats, even a disciplinary elder of ours has been taken by the Sea Goddess Hall. We need to recover our dignity. We can't let go of those 3 brats no matter what, or where would our dignity lie otherwise. Send orders to get the brothers Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi to infiltrate the territory of the Sea Goddess Hall and kill off the 3, the Hall Master growled. Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi were a pair of twins and also 2 of the 8 great human experts. They were 5th heavenly layer Saint Kings or 16th star Sea Soul warriors. As the Hall Master wishes, the Hall Elders all answered courteously. In the largest, most central hall in the territory of the Serpent God Hall, Hall Elders Bai Yan and Charlie sat sunken-faced. Before them stood 2 gloomy men. They were the 2 divine generals who had managed to flee the land of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. The hot-tempered Charlie crushed the valuable teacup in his hand after he heard their reports. He said furiously, "The Heaven's Spirit Hall actually blocked us from doing what we needed to do, and they ruined it in the end. I'll remember this, and I'll be paying it back several folds in the future." Bai Yan also sat there sunken-faced without making a sound. They had lost the abyssal crystal and they were completely responsible for it, since the 2 of them were tasked with it initially. Sigh, if I had known that my good-for-nothing disciple would mess this up, I wouldn't have sent him to complete this mission. Bai Yan sighed regretfully. Charlie was absolutely furious after he heard this. He roared angrily at Bai Yan, "Bai Yan, it's all your fault. Wasn't it you who wanted to act smart at the beginning, sending a few emissaries to pick it up in order to avoid attracting attention? Now, look at what has happened. If you went with what I said and directly sent a few elders or me personally to retrieve it, the crystal would be in our hands long ago. There wouldn't be so many problems like right now. Are you satisfied with the outcome now? The crystal has been taken into the territory of the Sea Goddess Hall by some brats, and the Sea Goddess Hall definitely has the power to learn of its existence. They definitely will not let the item exist, destroying it in the first instance they get it. I'd like to see how you explain this to the Hall Master after he comes out of seclusion." Bai Yan sighed gently as he sat there silently. He knew that there was no more room for redemption regarding this matter. "Guards, bring me Yensun, that motherfucker. I want to rip out his spine, skin him alive, drink his blood and eat his flesh." Charlie yelled madly. Very soon, Yensun was forcefully dragged over like a dog by 2 guards. He seemed to know what was about to happen, becoming pale white from fright as all the blood drained from his face. "Spare me, Hall Elder, spare me. Yensun knows he's wrong, Yensun knows he's wrong. Yensun doesn't dare to make such a big mistake ever again. Save me, Master, please save me." Yensun constantly banged his head on the floor as he groveled for his life. He no longer possessed the arrogant, condescending attitude that was present outside. Currently, Yensun was filled with regret. If he had known that the situation would end up like this, would he still have offended Jian Chen at the very start? He currently wished for time to flow backward, to return to that moment from before so that he could make a different choice. "You've made such a huge mistake and yet you want to beg for your life? You're dreaming." Killing intent erupted in Charlie's eyes. He directly stabbed his hand into the back of Yensun's neck, before pulling it out abruptly. A bloody spinal cord was ripped out of Yensun's body by Charlie. Yensun produced an agonizing cry. His entire body convulsed violently. Having his spinal cord ripped out made him suffer unendurable pain. Shortly afterward, Yensun's body began to change at a visible rate. He began to expand quickly, becoming a 5-meter-long, deep blue sea creature. He seemed like a snake, yet not like a snake, like a serpent, yet not like a serpent. This was Yensun's original body. Yensun was no longer able to remain in his human form after his spinal cord was ripped out. He did not die immediately, but he was on the brink of death. Bai Yan sighed gently as he watched Yensun end up like this. Yensun's mistake was just too severe. Even if he was talented, even if Yensun was his disciple, it was difficult for Yensun to escape with his life intact. "Drag this piece of trash out of here. I'll properly deal with him after I handle the matters here," Charlie said angrily as he held the bloody spinal cord. Very quickly, Yensen was dragged away by the two guards. All that was left was a great pool of blood in the hall. Bai Yen thought silently for a while, before standing up from his seat. It may be Yensen's fault for this matter, but we can't forgive those people who stole the item. Send Li Fengxin personally to pay a visit to the Sea Goddess Hall's territory. We can't let those people off. We need to make them die a graveless death. Charlie clenched his fists. His gaze shone with outrage. Soon afterward, a white-robed, middle-aged man left the Serpent God Hall. He shot toward the territory of the Sea Goddess Hall as a streak of white light with lightning speed. He was Li Fengxing, the greatest of the 5 great magical beast experts of the Sea Realm. His true form was a mutated savage beast and he possessed an extremely powerful strength. Jian Chen had no idea that both the Heaven's Spirit Hall and the Serpent God Hall had sent experts that currently headed to his location. He was still being tugged along by the old man from the Turtle Clan, now very far from the hall. They finally stopped before a huge tribe after traversing over 300,000 kilometers. It was a large tribe. All the huts of the tribe were made from mud through a certain ability, making it extremely tough like steel. Before the main entrance of the tribe stood a great archway, labeled with the words, Turtle Clan, which was written with vigor. These words were simple and they had already existed for who knows how long. They possessed traces of wear from time. Our Turtle Clan is a large tribe within the Sea Realm. There are so many members that it has almost spread across the entirety of the Sea Realm, with countless branched tribes. Although it's not a tribe that stands at the very top, it has some renown within the Sea Realm. The tribe before you is the main headquarters of the clan, explained the old man to Jian Chen, before he continued onward as he tugged Jian Chen along. He did not even give Jian Chen the chance to resist. We greet the Grand Elder. Several Earth Saint Master Guards outside recognized the old man and all bowed courteously to him. Afterward, they looked toward Jian Chen, revealing uneasy glances. The ruler's qi in Jian Chen could only be sensed by outsiders after practicing a secret technique. However, if they met other clansmen, there would be a natural response from their bloodline. The guards were all members of the Turtle Clan, so they felt a pressure from the very depths of their souls when they saw Jian Chen. They felt a slightly awed dread toward him. I greet the Grand Elder. I greet the Grand Elder. There were many people around and about in the tribe. The old man pulled Jian Chen along, directly making way for a grand hall up ahead. All the people he passed by would bow toward him respectfully and courteously, before observing Jian Chen curiously. They all ended up revealing uneasy expressions without any exceptions. As members of the Turtle Clan, they could all feel a slight pressure from the very depths of their bloodline. Weirdly enough, they felt a sliver of respect and dread when they saw Jian Chen, which confused all of them. They had no idea why they would feel such feelings towards someone they did not know. Ring the central bell and gather all elders, the old man commanded. Afterward, he tugged Jian Chen straight into the grand hall, forcefully pressing Jian Chen down onto the throne in the hall. He did not give Jian Chen any chances to resist. Senior, you've mistaken. I'm not actually your ruler, Jian Chen was bitter. He had already said this countless times, but the old man firmly believed him to be the ruler of the Turtle Clan. Ruler, you don't need to say any more. You're undoubtedly the ruler of our Turtle Clan. That's the irrefutable truth. I've brought you back to the Turtle Clan for you to inherit the position as the ruler and make up for the rulerless gap of 30,000 years, the old man spoke with absolute determination. He was certain about Jian Chen's identity. The deep sound of a bell rung through the entire tribe. Very quickly, people hurried over from all directions one after another, all gathering in the hall. There was a dozen or so of them in total, all of different ages. However, they were all saint rulers. As soon as they entered the hall, they discovered Jian Chen who sat on the throne. They all became stunned, revealing expressions of shock and doubt. Is this the ruler's qi? A middle-aged man stared fixedly at Jian Chen as he spoke with a shocked voice. He seemed rather uncertain, After all, it had already been too long since a ruler of the turtle clan had appeared. That's the ruler's chi of our turtle clan. Is he the new ruler of our clan? It has been 30,000 years since a ruler has appeared for us. Never would I have thought a ruler would be born now. Just when was the ruler born? How come we had no idea about this at all before? All the people in the hall broke into discussions. They had already noticed the ruler's chi from Jianchen. Grand Elder, why did you come here? Weren't you focusing on your cultivation at the hall? Have you gathered us all just then because you've brought back some important news? An old voice boomed from outside the hall. Two skinny old men walked in together, while many other saint rulers followed behind them. More saint kings. Jianchen was surprised when he saw the two old men who walked at the front. The turtle clan actually had a total of 3 saint kings. That made it quite a powerful force. The Grand Elder stood beside Jianchen and stared deeply at the two old men. He laughed and said, "Second Elder, Third Elder, you've come at the perfect moment. Now that a ruler of our turtle clan had appeared, it's time for us to regain our former glory." What? A ruler of our clan has appeared? The two elders were shocked, before looking toward Jianchen who had been pressed down into the throne. Their eyes narrowed abruptly. Chapter 899, Meeting Qing Yishuan once again. It's the ruler's chi of our turtle clan. He's actually the ruler of our clan. The second and third elder were secretly shocked. Their gaze toward Jianchen underwent a slight change and became rather mixed. The Grand Elder scanned across the people below with lit eyes and said proudly, "I believe everyone can sense the ruler's chi of our clan. It's been 30,000 years since our clan has had a ruler. Only under the lead of a ruler can we achieve glory. Everyone, why don't you bow before the ruler?" Immediately, a portion of the people fell to their knees, planning to bow to Jianchen. "Wait," the second elder called out to stop them. He gazed toward Jianchen in interest and said with clasped hands, "May I ask of your name? Which tribe were you born in? How come I haven't heard any news of you before? Where did you come from exactly?" The second elder asked these questions boldly. He was not polite at all. From his attitude, he did not view the ruler with respect at all. Jianchen sat there calmly and silently. He felt he had no need to answer the second elder's questions because only he knew that he was not their ruler at all. All of this was due to the water spirit's pill that the sea goddess had gifted to him. The second elder's words caused the Grand Elder's expression to change abruptly. He followed up gruffly, "Second elder, what are you trying to say? Do you dare to doubt the ruler? Can't you sense the ruler's chi from the ruler?" "Calm down, Grand Elder. That person indeed possesses the ruler's chi of our clan, but we have no idea about his identity. Also, we've never heard of any news about a ruler of our clan, so I feel like there's a need for us to know about this person's identity. After all, the position of ruler can control the fate of our entire clan. We can't be careless in this respect," the second elder said calmly. The Grand Elder was furious. "Second elder, for the ruler to inherit the position of power in our clan is an undebatable matter. He's undoubtedly the ruler of all citizens of the Turtle Clan, and as his citizens, we have no right to doubt his identity. As the Grand Elder, I will now be announcing that we will dismiss the position of Patriarch. All members of the clan will listen to the ruler and only the ruler. His words will be absolute. Grand Elder, there must be an agreement between all 3 of us to dismiss the position of Patriarch. I overrule your decision under the current circumstances as we are uncertain about the ruler's identity," said the second elder. "Grand Elder, he may have the ruler's chi of our clan, but his origins are just too questionable. Also, anything in regards to it is just too important. I don't feel like we should overly rush it. Why don't we put it aside for now and discuss over it later?" The third elder also gave his opinion, standing with the second elder. Why, you're not treating the ruler of our clan with any respect at all. How dare you?" The Grand Elder said angrily as he pointed at the 2 elders. He was absolutely furious. Afterward, he looked toward the other people in the hall and asked sternly, "What do you intend to do? Are you going to reject the ruler of our clan like the second and third elder?" All the saint rulers looked at each other after that. They all revealed troubled expressions, shutting their mouths without saying anything. They had silently shown their agreement with the two elders. "All right, all right, all right. Never did I think that the group of you would not acknowledge me, since I spent most of my time cultivating at the hall and rarely interfered with clan business." The Grand Elder was very furious. He heavily pressed down on his cane as his chest rose and fell with an exaggerated motion. Jian Chen watched on calmly, but he was secretly happy. This was naturally the outcome he liked to see the most, because he had no interest in being some ruler of the Turtle Clan. He needed to leave the Sea Realm sooner or later. Seeing how it was about time, he stood up from the throne and said, "Grand Elder, there's no need for you to argue. I will not be the ruler of your Turtle Clan. Junior bids you farewell." Jian Chen directly left the hall with that. He did not show any reluctance. No one in the hall stopped Jian Chen. Although he was not accepted because of the second and third elder, the ruler's chi on him was the real thing. It was impossible to fake. The Grand Elder stood furiously before the throne. With what had happened, he no longer had the dignity to stop Jian Chen. He could only let him leave. Just as Jian Chen left through the main entrance, he saw Xia Wang arguing unhappily with the guards that had been stationed there. He had tailed Jian Chen from the hall, but he was not as fast as the Grand Elder, so he was thrown far behind. When he had arrived here, the two of them had already gone inside. Naturally, he could not enter the tribe without the Grand Elder leading the way. As a result, he ended up arguing with the guards at the main entrance. "Xia Wang," Jian Chen called out, quickly hurrying over to him. Seeing Jian Chen walked over from inside, Xia Wang immediately stopped talking to the guards. He looked up and down at Jian Chen and said, "You've finally come out. So how was it? Have you finally become the ruler of the Turtle Clan?" These words spoken by Xia Wang shocked the guards, and their gazes toward Jian Chen finally underwent a complete change. Only now did they realize why they felt that respect and dread toward him. As it turned out, he was actually the ruler of their clan. "Let's not talk about it. We're leaving." Jian Chen remained calm as he walked out under the mixed gazes of the guards. Afterward, he directly took to the air. Xia Wang gazed at Jian Chen's back as he flew away in doubt. An expression of thought appeared on his face, but he did not say anything else. He left with Jian Chen. "Oi, what happened in the Turtle Clan? Did they recognize the wrong person and you're not some ruler of the Turtle Clan?" Xia Wang caught up quickly and asked curiously. "Yeah, they did get the wrong person. I'm not some ruler of the Turtle Clan," replied Jian Chen. He was extremely calm and did not care at all about what had happened in the Turtle Clan. As soon as Jian Chen finished talking, the surrounding space froze. It bound both of them firmly in the air, immobilizing them. A white-clothed Qing Yishuan appeared before the two of them. Her face was frigid as she glared at Jian Chen. She said, "I'd like to see how you escape now." Jian Chen focused his gaze and said, "Senior, perhaps you want to kill me? I may not be able to kill you, but there's nothing you can do to stop me from taking the map fragment back," Qing Yishuan said coldly. She directly took Jian Chen's space ring, beginning to rifle through it. A snigger formed on Jian Chen's face. He had known that Qing Yishuan was tailing him long ago, which was why he had already swapped out his space ring. He had already placed the space ring that contained all the important items into his saint artifact. Qing Yishuan searched through the entire ring but failed to find even the traces of the map fragment. Her face immediately sank as she stared viciously at Jian Chen. She cried, "Speak! Where did you put the map fragment?" "Senior Qing Yishuan, I still have great uses for the map fragment, so I won't be giving it to you," said Jian Chen. "All right. Since you're not going to hand it over yourself, it's not going to be my fault for going rough. I might not be able to kill you, but I do have methods to torture you." Come with me. Qing Yishuan arrived before Jian Chen with a flash, grabbing his clothes with her elegant, white fingers. However, she then looked at Xia Wang and said, "You'll need to come with me as well so you don't leak anything." Qing Yishuan used her other hand to grab Xia Wang, about to leave there with the two of them. "Qing Yishuan, how dare you treat the ruler of my turtle clan like that?" At this moment, a loud voice could be heard from afar. It was the Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan who rushed over threateningly with a vast presence. "God damn it, that old turtle just had to come at this time, ruining my business." Qing Yishuan frowned, but her grip on the two of them did not loosen at all. "Qing Yishuan, why don't you let go of my ruler? Otherwise, don't blame me for reporting this to the hall master." The Grand Elder arrived before Qing Yishuan and roared angrily. At that moment, he no longer seemed small at all with his hunchback. Deep dread appeared in Qing Yishuan's eyes as soon as she heard him mention the hall master. She thought, the hall master views this person with great importance and even personally bestowed him the status of a guest. "If I take him away, that old turtle is going to report it to the hall master. I'll be hit with quite a lot of trouble then. Size, whatever." Qing Yishuan immediately gave up on the idea of taking Jian Chen away. She said coldly, "I'll let you off this time. If you don't hand over the map fragment, I'll keep sticking near you." Qing Yishuan departed after throwing that down. She traveled extremely fast, disappearing in the blink of an eye. "Ruler, are you fine?" The Grand Elder arrived before Jian Chen and asked out of concern. Fortunately, Grand Elder made it in time. "Otherwise, I might have been in quite the trouble," Jian Chen said gratefully. Some concern appeared on the Grand Elder's face as he said, "Qing Yishuan is extremely powerful. Her attacks are swift and fierce, while members of my turtle clan have a great defense but weak offense. If we really did end up fighting, I would lose without a doubt. Fortunately, she fears the hall master or I really wouldn't have known what to do. Ruler, you're on Qing Yishuan's radar now. You better return to the tribe with me. As long as the ruler stays there, Qing Yishuan will never come and create a disturbance no matter how brave she is. Our clan may not be strong, but we were one of the founding members of the Sea Goddess Hall. She won't dare to make any troubles for us as a foreigner. I thank Grand Elder's concern, but the tribe is not a place for me. I have other places." Jian Chen rejected him indirectly. The Grand Elder sighed and said, "Looks like the ruler is mad over what happened before. It has already been 30,000 years since the clan has had a ruler, which is why the might of our clan has decreased. But don't worry, ruler, I will definitely organize everything in the clan in the shortest time so that ruler can take power successfully." Chapter 900, King Armament. Jian Chen was filled with a sense of helplessness with what the Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan had said. He knew that he would not listen to him no matter how he put it. The inflexible Grand Elder had already made up his mind about the ruler's qi on him. Do I explain my true identity to him at all? That's probably the only way to get him to believe that I'm not some ruler of his clan, Jian Chen thought. He had already begun to hesitate whether to disclose his identity or not. The Grand Elder sighed and spoke, "To think that we were once one of the greatest tribes in the Sea Realm. We were so powerful that even with the entire Sea Realm in perspective, we were at least ranked in the top 10. At our peak, we had a total of 4 rulers and every single one of them were hall elders at the peak of the 16th star. At that time, no one dared to provoke us other than the 3 halls. It's a pity that so much time has passed and our strength has waned with each coming generation. The number of rulers constantly decreased and our overall strength plummeted. We've fallen from our initial status as one of the greatest tribes to this current disappointing state. It has been 30,000 years since the last person with the ruler's qi had appeared. If the situation continues like this, we'll probably become weaker and weaker, before being devoured by the other stronger tribes." A sliver of pain appeared on the Grand Elder's face. As one of the older members of the clan, he did not wish to see something like that happen at all. "Ruler, you're the hope of our clan. Only under you can the Turtle Clan return to its former glory. I hope the ruler can return to our clan. I will do everything I can to help the ruler take power. The Grand Elder pleaded Jian Chen. He was filled with hope. Grand Elder, you should stop there. I'm not a member of your turtle clan. I can't return with you. Jian Chen rejected the Grand Elder's pleas without any hesitation, before leaving with Xia Wang. Ruler, if you don't want to go with me, then I'll always stick by your side. The Grand Elder was stubborn, immediately following Jian Chen. Jian Chen was delighted about the Grand Elder following him around. With a Saint King by his side, he no longer needed to worry about Qing Yishuan looking for him again. He flew with Xia Wang toward the hall. Meanwhile, the Grand Elder did not even move an inch away from his side. It had almost been a month since Jian Chen had come to the Sea Realm. In that time, he had always been tied up by some miscellaneous matters, preventing him from cultivating properly. That was exactly the opposite of his reason for coming to the Sea Realm. As a result, he planned to devote himself to cultivation in the upcoming period. He wanted to leave for the Tian Yuan continent immediately after he had become powerful enough. The three of them traveled for 10,000 kilometers before a city appeared before them. Jian Chen directly flew over it. However, just as he reached the center of the city, his gaze suddenly froze. He suddenly looked down before descending abruptly, directly falling into the busy streets. Before Jian Chen was a castle-like structure. It was extremely extravagant, while many people passed in and out of its main entrance. It was bustling. Exotic treasures. Jian Chen mumbled as he read the beautiful words on the plaque. He then entered it as his eyes flashed with excitement. Esteemed warriors, how may I be of service today? As soon as he entered the building, a member of staff who was good with people ran over by himself. He smiled as he walked around the three of them, clearly very enthusiastic. Take me to the 5th floor, Jian Chen acted authoritatively, directly tossing a grand quality crystal coin at the member of staff. He behaved extravagantly, attracting the curious gazes of people nearby. The warriors' tastes obviously far exceed that of ordinary people. The 5th floor of our store contains our most expensive items. Normal people don't even have the right to go there. Only important figures like this warrior can. The person was ecstatic after receiving a grand quality crystal coin so easily. He immediately began to butter up to Jian Chen with eloquent words. Shut up, lead the way, Jian Chen said rather impatiently. Yes, yes, yes. This one will lead the way immediately. Please come this way, warrior. The man immediately got to the point when he saw how Jian Chen had become unhappy. He directly led Jian Chen up the stairs. Jian Chen arrived at the 5th floor under the person's guidance. The space of the 5th floor was the same as the first, but there were much fewer items there. There was barely anything, but every item was extremely valuable. Over 20 people in luxurious clothes currently examined the treasures on that floor. Among the people, a slender, white-clothed woman was the most attention-catching. She possessed an enchanting face, while her skin was white and extremely soft. Her eyes were limpid like autumn water, yet they were also remorselessly cold, revealing a frigidness that deterred people. Standing with those people, she seemed just like a flower among a dung paddy. That was how much she stood out, how unignorable she was. The aristocrats who had come for the treasures would glance at her from the corner of their eyes secretly from time to time. Although they stared at the treasures, their minds were elsewhere. Beside the woman stood a well-dressed, dashing young man. A dazzling smile hung on his face as he constantly talked to the lady. His gaze toward her was also filled with infatuation, as he struggled to hide the affection in his heart. Beside the young man stood two middle-aged men who were dressed simply. They were emotionless and cold. They were 6th cycle Heaven Saint Masters. It was forbidden to fight in cities in the Sea Realm. However, the young man had two 6th cycle Heaven Saint Master guards following him around despite being in the city, so his status was evident. He was definitely a young master of a great clan. Girl, I've introduced myself. May I learn of your name and which family you come from? And where do you cultivate? The young man beside the lady said with a smile. His voice was soft and he was warm. He seemed extremely friendly. The man was called Nanyun Lai, the youngest son of the Nanyun clan. His great-grandfather was the current patriarch of the clan. Probably everyone in the radius of several hundreds of thousands of kilometers knew about the Nanyun clan. They were a famed clan within the sea goddess Hall's territory and possessed two 15th-star experts. They held supreme power in the region and were undoubtedly a first-rate organization. They controlled many medium-sized tribes and clans below them, which expanded their power even more. The woman was cold, ignoring the chattering Nanyun Lai beside her. She stared unblinkingly at the 1.2-meter-long sword before her with her cold eyes. The sword was only 2 fingers wide. Its blade was shiny like a mirror, while it shone with a hazy glow. The presence of a vast and terrifying energy flowed throughout it. At that moment, the woman's expression changed. She glanced behind her suddenly, immediately locking onto Jian Chen with her cold eyes. Her eyes narrowed very moment she saw him and she now gritted her teeth. The woman was Qing Yishuan of the 8 great human experts. Xia Wang's expression changed instantly when he saw her. He sent a mental message. God damn it, why is she here? Jian Chen, why did you come here without any reason? We don't even have the time to hide from her, yet you've approached her yourself. Are you throwing yourself at danger? Jian Chen ignored Xia Wang. After glancing at Qing Yishuan and Nanyun Lai, he revealed an odd expression. However, he said nothing. He immediately walked toward Qing Yishuan, before stopping before the sword. Jian Chen's eyes landed on the sword and they immediately began to light up with burning enthusiasm, as if he had just seen an absolute treasure. He began to slaver over it. He knew that the sword before him was definitely a weapon countless times more powerful than the dragon-slaying sword. Jian Chen touched the hilt of the sword with his trembling hands. The moment he touched it, a sharp sword qi immediately shot out. It cut through Jian Chen's chaotic body, injuring his palm. Blood immediately began to flow from the wound. Jian Chen was secretly shocked when he felt the pain in his hand. The power of the sword was beyond his imagination. Never did he think that just a single sword qi would be so powerful that it even broke through the defense of his chaotic body. If it was someone else, they would definitely suffer a much more chilling outcome. With a thought, the chaotic force in his dantian immediately began to pump out strands of chaotic force. It boosted the toughness of his body to the absolute maximum, before he grabbed at the hilt of the sword once again. The moment he touched it, a sharp sword qi shot out. It left a white mark on his hand but it could not cause any damage to Jian Chen now. A sliver of surprise immediately flashed across Qing Yishuan's eyes as she knew exactly how powerful the sword was. She was shocked by the strength of Jian Chen's body. This is a weapon left behind by a human expert after they passed away from age. It should be a king armament, left behind by a human 9th heavenly layer Saint King. The Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan marveled. He stared fixedly at the sword as he observed it. Jian Chen's heart was filled with unconcealable excitement the moment he heard that. He lifted up the sword to examine it in greater detail, immediately revealing a pleasantly surprised expression. He murmured, a king armament. It sure is worthy of being a weapon left behind by a 9th heavenly layer Saint King. It's abnormally powerful. This sword suits me too well. Leave the king armament. You're not worthy of it with your current strength, Qing Yishuan said to Jian Chen as she looked at him coldly. Her hatred for him gnawed at her heart, but with the Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan present, she could do nothing against him. Who says I'm not worthy of it? I'm taking this king armament. Shopkeeper, what's the price on this weapon? Jian Chen pooled his attention onto the king armament. He was extremely excited. His dragon-slaying sword was now already slightly damaged and as his strength increased in the future, its effects on boosting his strength would decrease. If he reached the third layer of the chaotic body, the sword would no longer be able to withstand his chaotic force. The king armament left behind by a ninth heavenly layer Saint King just happened to resolve that pressing problem. Additionally, king armaments were much more powerful than ruler armaments. Jian Chen believed that he would be able to challenge a Saint King with it, given that the Saint King was not too powerful. Chapter 901, Conflict. Hearing that Jian Chen actually wanted to buy the king armament, Qing Yishuan's expression changed slightly. She cried out, "The sword caught my attention first, so I'm allowed to buy it first." "There's no chance for you." Qing Yishuan was an expert with the sword. The shape of the saint weapon she used was almost the same as the king armament, so it was extremely important to her. If she obtained the king armament as a fifth heavenly layer Saint King, it would just make her even powerful. She would totally possess the power to overcome the difference of cultivation levels to challenge seventh heavenly layer Saint Kings. As a result, Qing Yishuan had already sworn to obtain the king armament. Although ruler armaments were quite common in the sea realm, a ruler armament was nowhere near enough for her strength. Only king armaments and emperor armaments could boost her strength, but these two types of weapons were extremely rare even on the Tina Yuan continent, let alone the sea realm where there were sparsely any humans. "Senior, since you wanted the sword, why haven't you bought it after staring at it for so long?" "The sword is in my hands now. I'm taking it," Jian Chen said with determination. His uses for the king armament were just too great, so he was also determined to obtain it. Although it would cause him to offend Qing Yishuan, the two of them already had enmity. He did not care about adding some more to it. Qing Yishuan had already paled in anger. She stared at Jian Chen as flames of rage burned in her eyes as she said coldly, "The sword has been reserved by me, so it's already mine. You can't buy the sword before I give up on buying it. I want the sword right now. I wonder if I can get the right to buy it before the reserver." Jian Chen asked aloud, yet his eyes were focused on an old man who walked over. He exuded a learned presence. He was a saint ruler of the ninth heavenly layer, and Jian Chen knew that he was the shopkeeper here. The two warriors sure have good eyes. "I've only recently obtained this king armament and it's just been on sale for 3 days. I originally thought that no one would buy it, so I planned on auctioning it off in the large auction in a few days. Never did I think I would meet the knowledgeable so fast. It really has surprised this one." The shopkeeper chuckled as he walked over. He observed Jian Chen and Qing Yishuan secretly, understanding that the two of them must have very influential backgrounds, such that he could not offend them. The shopkeeper arrived before the king armament and continued, "This lady may have had her eyes on the king armament, but she hasn't paid any reservation fees or discussed it with the shop. As a result, this warrior may buy the sword given the rules. As long as you pay the right price, the weapon will be yours." Qing Yishuan began to panic as soon as she heard that. She said with a deep voice, "Shopkeeper, I also want the sword, but I don't have enough crystal coins on me. I've already contacted a good friend of mine to bring over the money, so can you hold on to it for some time for me?" The shopkeeper hesitated slightly. He was a bit troubled. A smile immediately appeared on Nanyun Lai's face when he heard that Qing Yishuan did not have enough money. He said, "Since this lady likes this sword called king armament, I'll buy it and gift it to you." "Shopkeeper, I'd like to take the sword. Bill it to the Nanyun clan. There'll be someone who'll come with the money." As he said that, Nanyun Lai glanced at Jian Chen in provocation. He knew that Jian Chen was not weak, but he did not care about that at all. This was because he was the youngest son of the Nanyun clan, which had two 15th-star experts. A sneer formed on Jian Chen's lips when he noticed Nanyun Lai's glance. He could tell that Nanyun Lai was a hedonistic degenerate from a rich family with a single look. He probably did not even know what a king armament was. "Shopkeeper, may I ask of the price?" Jian Chen asked. 50 million grand quality crystal coins, said the shopkeeper. What? 50,000 grand quality crystal coins. Nan Yunlai immediately jumped in fright when he heard the price. He asked in disbelief, "Shopkeeper, are you sure that's the right price? How can a sword like this be worth 50 million grand quality crystal coins?" "Young Master Nan Yunlai, you probably don't know about the origins of this weapon then. If this weapon was thrown onto the Tianyuan continent, it's enough to cause a storm of blood. 50 million coins is already a low price," explained the shopkeeper. 50 million coins. How is it so expensive?" Nan Yunlai revealed an ugly expression. He became extremely awkward. He knew nothing about the Tianyuan continent, so naturally, he had no idea of the weapon's value. He originally wanted to buy it and gift it to the attractive girl beside him, so that he could win her heart. However, never did he think that the king armament would be so expensive, being at a price of 50 million grand quality crystal coins. Even to his clan, this price was a huge amount of wealth. It was not an amount he could spend. Qing Yishuan did not even glance at Nan Yunlai throughout this. She waved a medallion before the shopkeeper and said, "Shopkeeper, this is the medallion of my identity. Are you able to give me some time?" The shopkeeper's expression immediately changed greatly when he recognized the medallion in Qing Yishuan's hand. "You're not the only one with something like that. I have it too. Shopkeeper, here is the medallion of my identity. I want to buy the king armament." Jian Chen also pulled out his guest's medallion. The shopkeeper immediately paled when he saw Jian Chen's medallion. He directly vomited a mouthful of blood, taking several steps back in retreat. His gaze toward Jian Chen was filled with fear while his heart began to toss and turn. He had just seen a hazy figure sitting within a grand hall from the medallion. It radiated with a great pressure, capable of shaking up the world. It was like God, consecrated and undefiable. He did not recognize the hazy figure, but the figure's identity somehow began to flash through his head the moment he saw it. It was the Hall Master of the Sea Goddess Hall, one of the 3 supreme experts of the sea realm. The shopkeeper's gaze toward Jian Chen had changed completely. It was now filled with fear because he understood that any person who could pull out a medallion like that was an extremely important member of the hall. Even the person secretly in control of the store would not dare not to offend someone like that. "Shopkeeper, so who will you be selling the king armament to now?" Jian Chen put his medallion away and smiled as he looked at the shopkeeper, who had yet to recover from his shock. "Esteemed warrior, I have been ignorant. If I had been disrespectful before, I hope this warrior can forgive me. I'll obviously be selling this king armament to you." The shopkeeper's attitude to Jian Chen underwent a complete change. He was now much more polite to him. Nan Yunlai could not help but grow curious about Jian Chen's identity as he saw the shopkeeper treat the young man like that. It was actually enough to even make the shopkeeper treat him so politely. Even his identity as a young master of the Nanyun clan was not enough for him to enjoy such treatment. "And who's this lady? She's actually able to just say that she wants to buy this king armament worth 50 million grand quality crystal coins. That's not an amount anyone can pull out, and yet she did not even bat an eyelid when she heard that. And what medallion did she show the shopkeeper before to make him react like that? Does that mean her identity is impressive?" Nan Yunlai began to make guesses, before he quickly thought of something. He rejoiced as he thought, "If I can bond with this lady and get her to become my cultivation partner, the status of our clan will rise up to another level." Nan Yunlai's heart began to swell with confidence as he thought up to there. He was the youngest son of the Nanyun clan. His background was great and he was handsome and dashing. He believed he could melt this woman's heart of ice as long as he put in some effort. "Girl, isn't it just a king armament? There are plenty of weapons like this in the sea realm. I'll order the members of my clan to find one as soon as I get back. You should be receiving a similar king armament without much time. May I ask for your name and where you live? If I find a king armament, I'll deliver it to you as soon as possible." Nan Yunlai immediately began his intense attacks on Qing Yishuan. However, Nanyun Lai's lofty aspirations were destined to collapse on themselves. Qing Yishuan stared at him coldly and said, "If you dare say another word, I'm going to throw you out immediately." Nanyun Lai flinched slightly when his enthusiasm was met with such cold words. He said, "Girl, I am the..." Just when he wanted to bring up his clan to shock Qing Yishuan, she waved her hand before he could even finish. Immediately, a powerful force collided with his body, sending him flying. He smashed through a window and fell onto the streets outside. "How dare you harm the young master of our Nanyun clan?" The two guards of Nanyun Lai roared out immediately, charging toward her in unison. However, Qing Yishuan waved her hand gently once more and the two of them immediately followed Nanyun Lai out. They were all knocked away by a powerful force, through a window and onto the street outside. Although the shopkeeper watched all of this happen, he did not dare to stop her. After all, he had completely recognized her guest's medallion. Jian Chen had already pulled out a large pile of crystal coins from his space ring, before borrowing some more from the Grand Elder. He gathered a total of 50 million grand quality crystal coins and bought the king armament, putting it away in his space ring under Qing Yishuan's furious gaze. "Farewell, senior." Jian Chen clasped his hands at Qing Yishuan before leaping out the window with Xia Wang and the Grand Elder. They directly took to the skies. Qing Yishuan stared at his figure sunken-faced as he flew away. First, Jian Chen had stolen the Octotera map fragment she had paid a price of being heavily injured to obtain, and now he had taken the king armament she had valued very much. It made her hatred for him peak. "You're the first brat who dares to act purposefully arrogant before me. There will be one day where I make you regret your choices. I refuse to believe that old turtle will protect you for your whole life." Qing Yishuan gnashed her teeth. Afterward, she disappeared from the building with a flash. Nanyun Lai charged up to the 5th floor furiously and in a horrible shape as soon as she left. He said angrily, "How dare she treat me like this? She doesn't acknowledge the Nanyun clan at all. Where'd she go?" Nanyun Lai looked around and realized that Qing Yishuan and Jian Chen had disappeared. "Shopkeeper, where are they? Where'd they go? Do they really think it's so easy to flee after hitting me?" Nanyun Lai called at the shopkeeper as he had no one to vent his anger on anymore. The shopkeeper sneered at Nanyun Lai, "Young master, those people have already done you a great favor by not crippling you. Not only do you fail to realize what's good for you, you even want to find them for revenge. If you really do agitate them, your Nanyun clan will be pulled in as well. Do you know who that woman is? Then tell me who that woman is. I'll definitely go find her in the future," sneered Nanyun Lai. "That woman possesses a guest's medallion from the Sea Goddess Hall, and she's definitely not just an ordinary guest of the hall. I think she should be Qing Yishuan of the 8 great human experts, a 16th star sea soul warrior," sneered the shopkeeper. "What? Shopkeeper, what did you say? That woman's a 16th star expert?" Nanyun Lai cried out in fright. Blood immediately drained from his face. Chapter 902, The Highest Kill Command. Jian Chen, Xia Wang, and the Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan left the city together. They flew in the air while Jian Chen constantly examined the king armament in his hand. He would use his hand to touch the shiny blade surface from time to time as he looked at it with unconcealable fondness. "This king armament just suits me too well. I'll even be able to fight ordinary 15th star sea soul warriors when I come across them," Jian Chen mumbled to himself. His voice was filled with happiness. The king armament was extremely powerful and not as gentle as a ruler armament. Even an Earth Saint Master could use a ruler armament and use it to increase their strength by a few levels without any backlash. However, the king armament in his hand could shoot out sharp strands of sword chi all by itself. No one below Saint King could use it, or they would be injured before they could even harm an opponent. If Jian Chen wanted to wield the king armament, he needed to have his chaotic force circulating such that his defenses were pushed to the maximum. That way, he would not be injured by the sword chi. However, even when that was the case, the sword chi from the king armament when he wielded it would leave white marks on his skin. The Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan could not help but sigh secretly when he saw the toughness of Jian Chen's body. He really is a ruler of the Turtle Clan. The toughness of his body is so great. He's actually making full use of our clan's special characteristics. There are very few king armaments on the Tian Yuan continent as well. Only some ancient families will possess a few. I never thought I'd obtain such a rare item so easily, Jian Chen was ecstatic. It may have cost him 50 million grand quality crystal coins, but to Jian Chen, even 100 million grand quality crystal coins could not compare to the king armament, let alone 50 million. Suddenly, Jian Chen's eyes narrowed abruptly. He finally looked away from the king armament. Up ahead, a dazzling red light shot directly toward him with lightning speed. It was so fast that it covered several dozen kilometers in a mere second, rapidly approaching Jian Chen. The Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan also discovered the red light and his expression immediately changed. Be careful, ruler. He appeared before Jian Chen with a flash, directly throwing a clean fist toward the red light. However, it seemed to be intangible, without a corporeal form. The Grand Elder's fist actually directly passed through the red light without blocking it at all. The red light passed through the Grand Elder's body and directly struck Jian Chen. Immediately, Jian Chen began to shine with a splendid red glow. It condensed into a vague red blade which hung over his head. This is the highest kill command from the Heaven's Spirit Hall. It has the ability to seal up the targeted person's strength. The Grand Elder's expression changed abruptly when he saw the red light over Jian Chen's head. Jian Chen also became stern. He could feel a weird energy invade his body, wrapping around his dantian in the form of a net. It wants to seal up my strength. Don't you dare. Jian Chen became furious inside. With a thought, the chaotic Niden in his dantian began to spew out large quantities of chaotic force. It surged wildly in his body with a devastating aura, before transforming into the shape of an enraged dragon. It charged at the sealing energy with an unstoppable force. Chaotic force collided with the energy and they immediately fell into a stalemate. However, how could ordinary energies match the strength and uniqueness of chaotic force? Very quickly, the energy started to be devoured by the chaotic force slowly, before completely disappearing. There were no traces left. Jian Chen could feel that his chaotic force had increased by a tiny strand once again after devouring the energy. However, the amount was tiny, almost insignificant. The red light around Jian Chen also gradually disappeared after the energy had been devoured. Two loud whistles resounded from afar. Two people shot toward Jian Chen with lightning speed as they radiated with killing intent. They did not come with good intentions. Crap, they're 16th star experts. They're people of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. Run, ruler. The Grand Elder's expression immediately became extremely ugly and he fled into the distance as he tugged Jian Chen along. However, they were still not as fast as the two 16th star experts. Before they had even traveled much, the two 16th star experts shot over their heads as streaks of light and blocked their path. The two 16th star experts were young men who seemed to be in their 30s. They wore black robes and although their appearances were not particularly outstanding, they seemed exactly the same. They were twins. The two people glared at Jian Chen while killing intent flickered in their eyes. One of them sneered, I didn't think someone would still be able to flee after being marked by the highest kill command of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. You're actually Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi of the 8 great human experts. You're outsiders yet you want to try to take the life of a ruler of my turtle clan. Don't you want to stay in the sea realm anymore? The Grand Elder called out. Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi laughed together. We may be outsiders but we're working for the Heaven's Spirit Hall. It's not us who want to kill him this time but the Heaven's Spirit Hall. The only person you can blame is that ignorant brat for offending the hall. Die. Huge, palm-width swords appeared in both their hands. They swung down suddenly, shooting 2 strands of huge sword qi at Jian Chen. Although they had struck out casually, any casual strike from them as 5th heavenly layer Saint Kings possessed the power to destroy the surroundings. The 2 sword qi cut through space with powerful ripples of energy and headed directly for Jian Chen. "I'll stop them." "Ruler, please leave," cried out the Grand Elder. His body began to swell quickly, turning into a 10-meter-wide turtle that shielded Jian Chen. He used his shell to take on the casual strikes from the 2 people. The Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan was of the 4th heavenly layer. He was slightly weaker than Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi, but his most terrifying aspect was his defenses. Even when 5th heavenly layer Saint Kings wanted to injure the Grand Elder, they would need to use all their power. The Grand Elder was not injured at all after taking on the 2 attacks. He threw Jian Chen far away with some might, before turning around to fight the 2 of them. He wanted to keep them busy to earn some valuable time for Jian Chen. "Brother, keep him busy." "I'll go kill the target," Zhou Yunzi said emotionlessly. He immediately began to pummel the Grand Elder with sharp attacks. "All right. I only need a single strike to kill him," Zhou Tianzi said confidently, immediately chasing after Jian Chen. "Don't you dare injure the ruler." "Secret technique of the Turtle Clan, world within the shell," cried out the Grand Elder. His shell immediately detached from his body, flying into the air and transforming into a humongous shell in the blink of an eye. The shell was 10,000 meters wide. It floated in the sky like a storm cloud, causing the surroundings to darken abruptly. A huge suction force appeared from within the shell. It sucked Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi into it, before the Grand Elder also disappeared into the shell itself. He seemed to have fused with it. Boom! 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 Muffled rumbles constantly resounded from within the shell and it began to shake violently in the air. A vast presence could be vaguely felt within the shell before it fell from the sky. It struck the ground heavily, forming a huge crater and kicking up dirt into the air. Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi were currently fighting the Grand Elder inside the shell. It could be imagined just how intense the battle was. Jian Chen's eyes flickered with a certain light as he stared at the shaking shell. He knew that the Grand Elder was unable to trap Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi for long and that they would break free very soon. He was unable to flee very far in that short amount of time. He was hesitating about whether he should cast God's Descent to kill off the 2 of them. He needed to pay at least 1,000 years of his life to kill off 2 5th heavenly layer Saint Kings, as he was unsure whether the 2 of them could use Saint Tier battle skills or not. At this moment, a blue light shot toward Jian Chen from afar. A stern light exploded in Jian Chen's eyes as the king armament appeared in his hand. He directly chopped toward the light with a destructive aura. However, the blue light directly passed through the king armament and disappeared into Jian Chen's body. Immediately, he began to shine with a dazzling blue light, while a deep blue serpent dragon condensed above his head. It opened its large mouth and revealed its sharp teeth. "The highest kill command of the Serpent God Hall," Xia Wang cried out. His expression was extremely ugly. The highest kill command of the Serpent God Hall was the same as the highest kill command of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. Not only would it make the target stand out very much, it possessed the ability to seal the target's strength. Jian Chen's face drained of blood. He did not think that experts from the Serpent God Hall would appear at this moment as well. The situation was turning against him more and more. Jian Chen immediately devoured the energy of the seal using the chaotic force within him. As soon as he had devoured it all, a figure shot over with lightning speed and a bold aura. Its target was Jian Chen. A sliver of determination flashed across Jian Chen's eyes. He immediately began to prepare for the casting of God's Descent. He had no other choices now. Jian Chen formed a seal with his hand before his chest. He raised his head, facing the sky, beginning the process of casting the arte. "Ha ha ha, so you're the person marked by the Serpent God Hall's kill command. A mere 14th star sea soul warrior, yet the serpent god hall attaches so much importance to you, even getting me, Ling Fengxing, to personally head out. Dying by my hands will make you content even after you arrive in the next world. Li Fengxing laughed aloud as he radiated with a bold presence. Li Fengxing noticed that Jian Chen was in the process of casting the god's descent soon afterward. He produced a soft interjection of surprise and said, "Are you trying to cast a secret technique to flee? How can I let you do that?" Li Fengxing's speed increased abruptly. He arrived before Jian Chen as a blur and directly kicked him in the chest. Spurt. Jian Chen vomited a mouthful of blood. Charging up the forbidden arte took some time, but Li Fengxing did not give him that time at all. His kick had forcefully disrupted Jian Chen's preparations. Chapter 903, The Grand Elder's Death. Jian Chen shot backward as blood spurted from his mouth. Li Fengxing's kick had already broken several of his ribs, injuring him quite badly. Jian Chen's heart sank. Now that his forbidden arte had been disrupted, he no longer possessed any methods to threaten fifth heavenly layer Saint Kings. Li Fengxing would never give him more time to cast God's descent. He did not even have the ability to run anymore from the pursuit of a 16th star expert. He would be able to temporarily seek refuge within the Saint artifact, but if Li Fengxing took the artifact and brought it back to the Serpent God Hall, the situation would become even worse. Brat, die. Li Fengxing laughed aloud with a remorseless expression. He directly struck out with his palm toward Jian Chen, completely looking down on him. Jian Chen became stern and his eyes narrowed. Suddenly, a towering sword intent began to radiate from his body. In that moment, he seemed to become a divine sword that radiated with a shocking glint. The king armament appeared in his hand, and with a wild jolt of his arm, he stabbed out like a bolt of lightning. The sword was extremely fast. The ordinarily looking thrust contained Jian Chen's comprehensions of the path of the sword, which made the ordinary strike seem perfect and flawless. The king armament collided with Li Fengxing's palm with a devastating presence. His palm was directly pierced by the weapon, causing blood to flow from the wound immediately. Li Fengxing produced a surprised sound. He abruptly clenched his hand that had been stabbed by the king armament, forcefully trapping the sword in his hand. He gazed at it in surprise. This is actually a saint weapon left behind by a 9th heavenly layer Saint King after he passes away, Li Fengxing said in surprise. He paid no attention to the great pain in his hand. A sliver of light immediately flashed across Jian Chen's eyes when he saw Li Fengxing trap the king armament. With a thought, devastating chaotic force immediately shot out from the weapon, wreaking havoc wildly at Li Fengxing's hand. It caused his wound to constantly enlarge. This time, Li Fengxing's expression finally changed. He unconsciously opened his hand, staring at the king armament in shock. Just what is this power? It's so weird. Jian Chen took advantage of the situation and pulled back the king armament. Without any hesitation, he immediately began to move his arm at extreme speeds. The king armament was thrust out constantly, forming a flock of densely packed blurs toward Li Fengxing. The blurs were extremely close to one another and overlapped with each other, completely enveloping the space before him. Jian Chen's fast sword style was displayed to its maximum. In that moment, he stabbed out countless times, while his speed had reached an unbelievable level. Li Fengxing became momentarily stunned. He stared at the sword blurs and could not help but praise. Everstrike looks like a blur, but it's actually completely solid. Not bad, you are quite fast. If there was any other person of the same cultivation level fighting you, they would die for sure. Too bad the difference of our strength is too great. Just your speed is not enough to deal with me. Freeze, space. Li Fengxing extended a hand and pointed out with a finger. The wall of sword blurs immediately disappeared. Jian Chen's surroundings had frozen, binding him tightly in the air. Jian Chen's heart sank. He poured the chaotic force in him wildly into the king armament. The weapon immediately began to radiate with an even more terrifying aura of destruction, causing the surroundings to tremble slightly. It actually forcefully broke through Li Fengxing's frozen space. Jian Chen rejoiced when he saw how the space frozen by a 16th star expert had been broken by himself. The power of the king armament really did not disappoint him. He was actually able to display such strength all by himself. Jian Chen showed no hesitation at all and used all his strength to strike Li Fengxing with his weapon. You have some ability. You're actually able to break through my frozen space with your strength of the 14th star. Li Fengxing marveled once again as the shock in his eyes thickened. He was the most powerful of the 5 great magical beast experts, possessing strength of the 6th heavenly layer. He felt rather astonished that Jian Chen could break through his frozen space. However, a sneer soon formed on his face. I'm not going to waste time with you anymore. I'll end your life now and complete the mission early. That way, I can leave a little earlier too. It's too close to the Sea Goddess Hall here. Kid, I'll show you my true strength now. Li Fengxing clenched his hand into a fist as invisible world force condensed quickly. Controlled by a 6th heavenly layer Saint King, the world force was much greater than what a Saint Ruler could control. It was the same power but the difference was just overwhelmingly large. This is a punch with 40% of my power, growled Li Fengxing. He punched out and the space ahead distorted greatly. A mad light appeared in Jian Chen's eyes. Right now, all he could do was fight for his life. There was no more room for escape. He stabbed out with the king armament as hard as he could, colliding with Li Fengxing's fist. A mouthful of blood spurted from Jian Chen's mouth, raining down onto the land below. He shot backward like a cannonball and became pale. There was not even a shred of blood remaining in his face. He constantly coughed up blood, as well as pieces of his organs. Although the strike was only 40% of Li Fengxing's strength, he was a 6th heavenly layer Saint King after all. It still was not something a Saint Ruler like Jian Chen could block. He had been heavily wounded. You're actually still not dead. Li Fengxing stared at Jian Chen who remained hovering in the air. His face was filled with disbelief. He knew the power of his punch very well. It was enough to kill off any 9th heavenly layer Saint Ruler. Since 40% of my power is not enough to kill you, let me show you 50%, Li Fengxing said coldly. At this moment, the sky was suddenly covered up by something, causing the surroundings to darken abruptly. Constant muffled sounds rang out from a huge turtle shell as it rocked and flew backward in the sky. Afterward, a powerful suction appeared from it again, sucking Li Fengxing away as well. A vicious light shone in Li Fengxing's eyes. He roared furiously, "You old turtle! Your shell may be tough but resisting the twins' attacks is your maximum and yet you still want to suck me in too. I'll give you death since you're looking for it. I'll smash your shell." Li Fengxing's voice became fainter and fainter, before being sucked into the shell. "Run, ruler!" The Grand Elder's voice resounded from the shell. He huffed and puffed as he spoke, making him seem slightly weak. He clearly was in quite some pain. Although the defenses of members of the Turtle Clan were great, resisting the attacks from both Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi was already rather difficult for him. He had almost reached his limit. "Grand Elder!" Jian Chen called out. He looked at the turtle shell worriedly. It was already extremely difficult for the Grand Elder to keep the twins busy. Now with the addition of an even stronger Li Fengxing, it was just making the situation even worse for him. "Don't worry about me. Run, ruler," the Grand Elder's voice rang out once again. His voice was filled with anxiety. Jian Chen stared deeply at the giant shell. He had only known the Grand Elder for a very short amount of the time, yet he was actually throwing down his life to save him. This touched him deeply. He gritted his teeth before flying off with Xia Wang, hurrying toward the Sea Goddess Hall as fast as he could. "You old turtle, I'll make your wish come true since you want to die so much," Li Fengxing's roar resounded from within the shell. Shortly afterward, a vast energy began to radiate from the shell, causing the shell to rumble loudly. It was like thunder in the sky, reverberating over hundreds of kilometers away. The shell trembled violently and a faint crack appeared. "Old turtle, your shell might be tough, but I'd like to see whether it can resist Saint Tier battle skills from the two of us." Zhou Tianzi's voice also rang out from within the shell. Immediately, the wind and clouds of the surroundings began to change. A terrifying presence descended from the sky, filling the entire region. Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi had begun to cast Saint Tier battle skills together. Boom! With a violent rumble, the Saint Tier battle skills from the two brothers erupted from within the shell. It struck the shell viciously. The shell directly shattered in the sky, while the powerful force shot off in all directions. The sky began to rain blood, dyeing the entire space red. A heavy smell of blood pervaded the entire region, while the Grand Elder's body had already disappeared. "Leave, ruler." A message that originated from the Grand Elders will boomed in the sky, before disappearing. He had been slain by the Saint Tier battle skills cast by Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi simultaneously. Only the will to protect Jian Chen remained, producing a weak sound before it quickly dissipated into the surroundings. "Grand Elder!" Jian Chen cried out sorrowfully. He was torn with grief. He knew the outcome of the Grand Elder and had also felt the soul of the Grand Elder disappear. Only his will remained, and it was still worrying over his safety. The blood rain dyed him red. It was the blood of the Grand Elder. The Grand Elder had died to save Jian Chen, dying to Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi's Saint Tier battle skills. Two enormous sword qi cut through the rain of blood as they descended, heading straight for Jian Chen and Xia Wang. The twins had slashed out toward them from thousands of meters away with their sword, which had completely locked onto their presence. Two huge fingers shot over from behind Jian Chen at this very moment. It zoomed past Jian Chen and Xia Wang with an unbelievable speed, directly colliding with the two strands of sword qi. Chapter 904, Returning to the Turtle Clan Boom. With a violent rumble, the fingers completely condensed out of energy collided with the sword qi shot out by the twins. It immediately erupted with a terrifying residual energy which shook up the surroundings. It caused space to tremble. The rain of blood had already disappeared, knocked far away by the violent energy. However, the ground below was dyed red, already covered by the blood from the Grand Elder's death. "How dare you foreigners! You've killed an elder of my sea goddess hall. I will not be letting you go," an old voice boomed from behind. It was filled with anger, crushing down with a terrifying pressure. The expressions of the twins and Li Fengxing immediately changed abruptly when they felt the terror of this pressure. Although they could not see the person, they had already understood that he would be far beyond what they could handle. The person is at least equal to Hall Elder. Li Fengxing became stern. Without any hesitation, he turned around to flee, no longer bothering with Jian Chen. Every single moment counted when fleeing away from an expert like that. Any hesitation could result in being caught up. At that time, even if they did not die, they would suffer quite a lot. The Hall's mission was very important, but their lives held even more importance. "He's come quite quickly. It's at least a 9th heavenly layer Saint King, or maybe even an expert at great perfection. Let's go." The twins had also become stern, unwilling to stay for even an extra second. They turned around and fled, disappearing into the horizon in the blink of an eye. Jian Chen was intoxicated by sorrow. He raised his head to look at the blue sky while his face was filled with grief. The giant turtle shell had already disappeared from the sky and the Grand Elder's familiar figure was gone too. The only thing that remained without dispersing completely was a will. It was the Grand Elder's will before death, filled with regret and concern. The Grand Elder's soul had been wiped out. Even his corpse did not exist anymore. All that was left was a ground full of blood and countless shattered pieces of palm-sized shell pieces. Grand Elder, Jian Chen's voice was filled with sorrow. He had not met the Grand Elder very long ago, but he had sacrificed his life in order to save him. His soul had been dispersed without even leaving behind a corpse. It was a tragic outcome. What the Grand Elder had paid was something he was unable to pay back even with his entire life. His soul was lost, without any way of recovering it. Even the origin energy of Radiant Saint Force did not possess the power to revive him. Although the origin energy could revive the dead, this could only happen if their souls remained and their bodies were in good shape. The Grand Elder currently fit none of these criteria. A figure quickly arrived before Jian Chen. He was an old man who seemed to be in his 20s and was the hall elder that had hurried over from the hall. It was Elder Hong. The elder stared at the ground full of blood with a sunken face while killing intent flickered in his eyes. He said coldly, "The Serpent God Hall and the Heaven's Spirit Hall are becoming bolder and bolder. They actually killed one of our elders. It's a pity that I've come too late." Elder Hong floated before Jian Chen. He looked at the sky and gave out a deep sigh. The Grand Elder may be dead, but he's unable to truly rest. His will remains. Elder Hong grabbed at the empty space. The will that floated around in the surroundings quickly condensed, before forming the Grand Elder's hunchbacked figure. He was as faint as a shadow. Grand Elder, Jian Chen could not help but cry out when he saw the Grand Elder's figure. His voice was filled with grief. He knew that this had only been condensed from the Grand Elder's will and would disperse very quickly. It would not exist for very long. I've been useless, unable to protect my ruler. The 30,000 years of hope for the clan has disappeared. That was the message in the Grand Elder's will. It was his final thought before death, filled with great amounts of regret. That was the reason why it could form a will. Don't worry, Grand Elder. I will definitely revive the Turtle Clan. This is my oath to you, Jian Chen said to the Grand Elder's will. His voice was filled with determination. He needed to fulfill the Grand Elder's final wish as he had died for him. The Grand Elders will slowly dispersed, disappearing with the wind. From then onward, he had left the world forever. Jian Chen stared blankly at the empty space, without coming to his senses even after a very long time. A while later, he slowly fell to the ground, picking up every single piece of the scattered shell fragments with trembling hands. This was the only thing the Grand Elder had left behind. He wanted to treat it as the Grand Elder's body and bring it back to the clan, before burying it properly. Sigh. Elder Hong sighed deeply as he watched this from the sky. He did not leave and instead stuck around to wait for Jian Chen to collect all the shell pieces. Xia Wang quickly began to help out too, collecting every single piece of the scattered shell fragments with Jian Chen. The two of them spent a total of 7 days before they picked up all the pieces. Jian Chen stored them in a space ring. Jian Chen, come back to the hall with me, Elder Hong finally spoke after waiting for 7 days. Jian Chen shook his head gently and said, "No, Elder Hong, I don't want to return for now. I want to go to the Turtle Clan to bury the Grand Elder." Elder Hong pondered in silence for a while before replying, "All right then. I'll devote some effort into paying attention to the movements of the 2 other halls in this period of time to prevent them from sending other experts. If you encounter any troubles within the Sea Goddess Hall's territory, just present the medallion from the Hall Master." With that, Elder Hong turned around and left. Jian Chen and Xia Wang also left after Elder Hong's departure. They directly made way for the tribe of the Turtle Clan. The second and third elder were currently discussing something secretive in the Turtle Clan. They had cast down a powerful barrier in their surroundings, isolating their voices from outside. "Second elder, the situation doesn't seem too great. A ruler of our Turtle Clan has actually reappeared after 30,000 years. That'll ruin our plans," the third elder said gruffly. The second elder nodded sternly. "Problems occurring in the nick of the moment are indeed not beneficial for us. It's fortunate that this ruler is not strong, so the 2 of us can suppress him for some time. However, the Grand Elder has already left with him. It'll be difficult for us to assassinate him with the Grand Elder by his side. If he does not die, the Turtle Clan will end up in his control sooner or later. We need to contact the Taihong clan and get them to follow through with the plan as fast as possible, the third elder said gruffly. At this very moment, the second elder's expression changed. He waved his hand and cancelled the barrier, speaking toward the outside. Didn't I say to not disturb us unless it's important? Reporting to the second and third elder, the ruler has returned, a heavy voice sounded from outside. What? He's come again. Both of their expressions changed slightly as they looked at each other before walking out in unison. Currently, Jian Chen stood emotionlessly in the huge, central square of the tribe as he held a space ring. Xia Wang stood to his side, a step away, observing the surroundings cautiously. Around the two of them had already gathered a great group of people. There were so many, to the point where it boxed them in. They were all members of the Turtle Clan and they all looked toward Jian Chen. Their faces were filled with doubt or excitement but no one held any hostility. I feel a weird pressure from him. It seems to be the ruler's chi. Is he really a ruler? Is he really a ruler of our Turtle Clan? The ruler of our clan has finally returned, 30,000 years, a whole 30,000 years. We've finally waited up till the appearance of the ruler. It's time for us to regain our former glory, the surrounding clansmen all discussed excitedly or with mixed emotions. A few of the older members had even been moved to tears. The second and third elder have arrived. A loud voice sounded from the crowd. All the people shuffled as they formed a path. The two elders walked in from outside with long strides, while a group of saint rulers followed behind them. Why have you returned? Where's the Grand Elder? The second elder stared directly at Jian Chen. His tone was not very kind. The Grand Elder's dead. Jian Chen's voice was extremely heavy. The two elders became stunned at the same time. They asked in disbelief, "What did you say? The Grand Elder's dead?" The surrounding clansmen broke into an uproar when they heard that. They all revealed expressions of disbelief. Jian Chen said nothing, passing over the space ring in his hand to the second elder carefully. The second elder accepted the ring with suspicion and looked through it. The moment he saw what was inside, his expression changed greatly, now replaced with sorrow. The third elder seemed to realize something when he saw the second elder's change in expression. He immediately became stern, snatching the space ring from the second elder's hands to look through it. He then became filled with grief as well. Just how did the Grand Elder die? The third elder asked sorrowfully. The Grand Elder was killed by Li Fengxing of the Serpent God Hall and Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi of the Heaven's Spirit Hall to save me, Jian Chen said with a deep voice. What? So you were the one who was responsible for his death? The second elder became furious, yelling at Jian Chen as he pointed a finger at him. I was responsible for the Grand Elder's death. But it has already happened. We should give him a proper burial, said Jian Chen. The two elders looked at each other and said nothing. They immediately began to hold a dignified funeral for the Grand Elder. Soon afterward, the news of the death of the Turtle Clan's Grand Elder was spread everywhere. It caused quite a large disturbance in the territory of the Sea Goddess Hall. After all, the Grand Elder was a 15th star expert, as well as an elder of the Sea Goddess Hall. His death was an extremely disturbing piece of news. Hundreds of thousands of kilometers away from the Turtle Clan, 3 middle-aged men sat with their legs crossed in a grand and extravagant castle. We've just received the news that the Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan has died. There's no one to stop us now. Send the order down, prepare for action. A blue-robed, long-haired man said gruffly. The Grand Elder may be dead but a ruler has actually appeared from the Turtle Clan. Fortunately, he's not very strong so he can't stop us. However, it's for the best if our clan, the Taihong clan moves quick. We can't give the ruler time for growth. This time, the speaker was a black-robed, skinny man. Chapter 905, The Taihong Clan. The Turtle Clan is still dealing with the Grand Elder's funeral. We'll head over after the funeral. That way, it'll be even easier for us to annex them. The final man had also spoken. Another great piece of news spread throughout the entire Sea Realm as the Grand Elder's funeral was held. The 8 fragments of the Octaterra map had all appeared, and the 8 pieces would be united as one in a year's time where all 3 territories bordered one another. They would go on a search for the Octaterra Divine Hall. A huge commotion erupted in the Sea Realm since the Octaterra Divine Hall was about to appear. The Divine Hall had been left behind by the Octaterra Emperor near the end of his life. It was rumored that he went without disciples and always moved alone. As such, he had left his legacy and all his wealth in the Divine Hall. Afterward, he used a great ability as an emperor to hide the hall somewhere that no one could find. Only through the 8 map fragments he left behind could the exact location be found. The Sea Goddess Hall's territory immediately began to churn secretly with the news of the map fragments. Many large organizations and clans began to make their intense preparations, pouring all their efforts into the clansmen that were at the peak of the 9th heavenly layer. They increased their strength as much as they could, before sending them to the Sea Goddess Hall in hopes of earning a place to enter the Octaterra Divine Hall. Many large organizations fought extremely hard over these opportunities. They basically used all the connections they had, and many clans had even offered up invaluable treasures to Hall Elders, all for the hope that the Hall Elders could give one place to their clan. This was because only through entering the hall did people have a chance of obtaining the Octaterra Emperor's legacy. This was a great treasure that could not be bought with money, attracting all the experts in the Sea Realm. It made countless people green with envy. Other than the legacy, there were also chances of obtaining the Emperor's treasures placed within the Divine Hall. All the treasures collected by the Emperor would definitely be extraordinary and invaluable. The entire Turtle Clan was still filled with deep sorrow as they were still holding the Grand Elder's funeral. All the people of the clan were heavy-hearted. The Grand Elder was the strongest person of their clan. With his departure, the clan's strength would weaken once more, growing further and further away from how it was like before. 8 map fragments brought together in a year, the opening of the Octaterra Divine Hall. Jian Chen had also learned of this news as he participated in the Grand Elder's funeral. He immediately clenched his fists tightly. I definitely need to go into the Octaterra Divine Hall. I hope whatever is inside doesn't disappoint me. Once I become powerful enough, I'll kill my way through to the Heaven's Spirit Hall and Serpent God Hall personally. I'll personally slaughter Li Fengxing, Zhou Tianzi, and Zhou Yunzi to avenge the Grand Elder. A sliver of powerful killing intent flashed through his eyes. The Grand Elder's funeral took 7 whole days before coming to a close. However, the clan did not quieten down afterward as a result. As soon as the funeral had ended, more than 10 experts arrived at the clan threateningly. They floated high up in the sky, gazing coldly at all the Turtle Clan members from above. A saint ruler said with a loud, clear voice, "We are the people of the Taihong Clan. All of you listen up. From today onward, your Turtle Clan will be controlled by us, the Taihong Clan. You will become part of us. If there is anyone who disagrees," as he spoke, he pointed out and a powerful energy immediately shot from his fingertip, striking a huge rock below. With a boom, the rock shattered in all directions. He then continued, "Do you see that? If anyone disagrees, that'll be your outcome." The Turtle Clan immediately became silent. Shortly afterward, all the clan members stared at the people in the air and started crying out angrily. "Their Tiahong clan actually wants to annex us. How dare they? When we were powerful before, the Taihong clan didn't even exist. It's wishful thinking if you want our clan to become a subsidiary of yours. We'd rather die than follow you. We'd rather have the ground dyed with our blood than bow down to your Taihong clan, right? I'd rather die than follow them. Even if I die here, I'll make the Taihong clan pay a heavy price." Each and every member of the clan was aggravated. None of them acted cowardly. The Turtle Clan may have declined now, but its former glory could not be dirted. The second and third elder looked at each other before rising up into the air in unison. They faced the people of the Taihang clan together, radiating with a powerful presence. All the members of the clan quieted down immediately as they saw the two strongest experts of the clan head out. Taihang clan, you're daydreaming if you want to annex our clan. You better leave. We will not be bowing down before anybody, growled the second elder. Right, we're not going to be bowing down to anyone. People immediately agreed from below. Of the dozen or so people from the Taihang clan, the leading middle-aged man sneered, "Does your turtle clan really want rivers of blood? With the strength of our Taihang clan, we can easily wipe you out. Aren't you going to consider for the clan as the second elder?" This middle-aged man was the ancestor of the Taihang clan. He was called Tai Do and was also the most powerful member of the clan. He was a saint king of the fifth heavenly layer. The second elder pondered quietly before continuing, "If you can defeat the third elder and I all by yourself, then we, the Turtle Clan, will bow down to your Taihang clan temporarily." Tai Do laughed aloud. "Alright, I'll fight the two of you. Perfect opportunity for me to see just how powerful the defenses of your Turtle Clan is like." Tai Do turned around and flew off into the distance as he said that. The two elder looked at each other and followed Tai Do without saying anything. Just the residual energy from battles between Saint Kings could flatten the ground completely. If they fought above the clan, it would be a catastrophe. That was why they moved to an empty area several hundred kilometers away. All the saint rulers within the Turtle Clan followed along. Only Jian Chen and Xia Wang remained. "Do you want to go have a look?" Xia Wang asked. Jian Chen shook his head and said calmly, "No, because the outcome has already been determined." A violent boom reverberated from several hundred kilometers away and the vast energy wreaked havoc in the surroundings. It caused the sky and the ground to undergo changes. The two Saint Kings of the Turtle Clan had already begun their battle with the ancestor of the Taihang clan. Each and every member of the Turtle Clan stared anxiously at the battle that had erupted far away. Although they could not see the exact details of the battle, the outcome would determine the clan's fate. As a result, everyone paid great attention to it. The fight did not last for very long. The two elders of the Turtle Clan flew over pale-faced very soon. They were in a horrible shape, with residual blood at their mouths. The saint rulers of the Turtle Clan that had followed them to watch the battle were all dejected and down. The two elders arrived back at the clan and said dejectedly, "We've lost." The entire clan fell into a silence at that very moment. All the clansmen felt extremely heavy-hearted. The second and third elder were the strongest people in the Turtle Clan. If they could not beat the ancestor of the Taihang clan when working together, then there was no more hope left for them. The group of people from the Taihang clan also flew over from afar. The Taihang clan ancestor was joyful as he led the group, laughing aloud. "According to the agreement from before, your Turtle Clan will now become a tribe of my Taihang clan. We are in control now. Second elder, third elder, we can never bow down. Why don't we just offer up a great price to recruit some experts to help out our tribe?" growled a saint ruler of the Turtle Clan. He was unwilling to give in. "Yeah, we'll put up a great price to invite experts." Many people repeated this in agreement immediately. "Shut up," the third elder was sunken-faced as he said, "Do you think it's really that easy to recruit experts who can fend off the Taihang clan? And we had an agreement earlier. Do you really want the Turtle Clan to go down as liars?" The third elder is right. We cannot be liars. The second elder also spoke his mind, before looking at the ancestor of the Taihang clan. "Taihang clan, you've won. From today onward, our Turtle Clan will become a part of your Taihang." "Wait." Before the second elder could finish speaking, a sudden voice cut him off. Jian Chen strode over from afar and said with a loud, clear voice, "I am the ruler of the Turtle Clan, so I have the right to participate in all matters regarding the clan. I shall now declare as the ruler that we, the Turtle Clan, will never become a part of the Taihang clan." Jian Chen never wanted to be the ruler of the Turtle Clan, but he needed to complete the Grand Elder's final wish as he had died for him. He had to take on the heavy responsibility of reviving the Turtle Clan and returning it to its former glory. The faces of the second and third elder both darkened. The second elder glared at Jian Chen as he yelled, "Even if I ignore the fact that you haven't formally become the ruler of the clan yet, just your decision is enough to destroy the entire clan. The Grand Elder already died because of you. Do you want the entire clan to go down as well?" The third elder also spoke up. He was very rude. Jian Chen paid no attention to the two elders' retorts and glanced at the surrounding clansmen. He said loudly, "Does everyone support my idea or the two elders' idea? To think that we were once so glorious. We may have declined, but we will never bow down to others. I support the ruler. Only under the lead of the ruler can our clan regain our glory. For the future of the Turtle Clan, I support all the decisions made by the ruler." Chapter 906, 5 Years Agreement. We support all the decisions of the ruler. We support all the decisions of the ruler. The members of the Turtle Clan all began to chant, growing louder and clearer each time. In the end, almost all the clansmen began to participate in the chanting, showing their support for the ruler's decision. The second and third elder both became extremely ugly. They had never thought that the situation would develop in such a direction. This was not what they had wished to see at all. "We've underestimated the ruler's status in the ordinary clansmen's hearts. He's completely exceeded us to them," the third elder sent a mental message to the second elder. His voice was gruff. The second elder nodded slowly, remaining silent while his darkened face. The past glory of the clan had all been brought on by rulers. At their very peak, the clan had a total of 4 rulers at the same time, and every single one of them was equivalent to a hall elder. They were one of the few superpowers within the sea realm. As the rulers disappeared, fewer and fewer appeared. That was the cause behind the decline of the clan, making it weaken with each generation. It had already been 30,000 years since a ruler had last appeared in the clan. It caused them to decline from their glorious past to today. They would soon become a second-rate clan that did not even have 15th-star Sea Soul warriors or even a third-rate clan. Their status was teetering. Not to mention the fact that the clan now faced the threat of being annexed by the Taihong clan. They had almost fallen into despair. As a result, the reappearance of a ruler garnered the support of many clansmen, which even made many people believe that this would be the end of their declining days. They thought that the ruler would lead them on the path to glory once again. The members of the Taihong clan all bore extremely ugly expressions, while the ancestor's face became as dark as a storm cloud. He had already used items that tempted the second and third elder to bribe them. Annexing the Turtle Clan was also something he had already planned with the two of them long ago. It was supposed to proceed very smoothly, yet a nobody had appeared out of who knows where and destroyed it all just as it was about to succeed. It made him absolutely furious. Since the ruler refuses to become a part of our Taihong clan, we can only take action against you. After I capture you, I wonder if your Turtle Clan will submit or not, growled the ancestor. Afterward, he arrived before Jian Chen with a flash, directly extending a hand out to grab him. Jian Chen remained calm. He pulled out a medallion from his space ring and placed it before him. He said, "Have a look at this." The ancestor's hand forcefully stopped a meter away from Jian Chen's throat. He stared fixedly at the medallion in Jian Chen's hand while he revealed a doubtful expression. However, his expression changed abruptly in the next moment. He backpedaled several steps, now filled with shock and disbelief. Hall, the ancestor produced a frightened cry. He had already paled. He was unable to say the second word of Hall Master, no matter what, as if it had been lodged in his throat. All the people in the surroundings became suspicious when they saw the ancestor react in such a way. Even the second and third elders were not exempted from this, and they extended their necks to examine Jian Chen's medallion curiously. "Do you recognize this?" Jian Chen raised the medallion and asked expressionlessly. The ancestor of the Taihong clan was still a Saint King after all, so he calmed down very quickly. He sucked in a deep breath, still badly shaken as he stared at the medallion and said, "Why do you have this medallion?" This time, the ancestor's gaze toward Jian Chen had completely changed. "I think you already know why I have this medallion. Do you dare to touch me now?" Jian Chen said coldly. Deep fear appeared in the ancestor's eyes. He took a few steps back slowly as the light in his eyes flickered uneasily. After some hesitation, he said, "You may be a part of the hall and possess quite an impressive status in it, but this is still a battle between clans. The hall will not interfere with these matters." Jian Chen frowned slightly as he heard this, but he did not say anything. The ancestor continued, "I'll give you 5 years' time because of this medallion. After those 5 years, my clan will come again. At that time, it'll be useless even if you pull out that medallion." Jian Chen put the medallion away and said coldly, "Then let it be 5 years. I'll fight you as the ruler of the Turtle Clan in 5 years. If I lose, then the Turtle Clan will temporarily bow down to you. But if I win, your Taihong clan will belong to the Turtle Clan." Jian Chen's words immediately caused a great commotion in the surroundings. A few experts could already roughly feel Jian Chen's strength. He definitely was not a 15th star Sea Soul warrior, and he definitely could not increase his strength by a lot in those short 5 years. They wondered just how Jian Chen would fight with the ancestor who was of the 16th star in 5 years. The 2 elders of the Turtle Clan secretly rejoiced. They did not believe that Jian Chen could become a 15th star expert in 5 years at all. "All right, I'll fight you in 5 years, the ancestor said with the same expression. However, he secretly rejoiced. As a 5th heavenly layer Saint King, he had completely seen through Jian Chen's strength. He refused to believe that Jian Chen could raise his strength to a level where he would be able to fight him in 5 years. As the people of the Taihong clan left, the Turtle Clan cheered in jubilation. A few clansmen who did not know about his strength really did believe that their ruler had the strength to fight a 16th star expert. They all cheered, "Long live the ruler, long live the ruler." Jian Chen calmed down everyone below, before slowly scanning past the 2nd and 3rd elder and the saint rulers behind them with narrowed eyes. He said loudly, "Is there anyone else who's unhappy with me inheriting the position as ruler? We pay respects to the ruler." Earth-shaking cries immediately began to reverberate from the surroundings. In the blink of an eye, the area became a black mass as the ordinary clan members all bowed down. Only the 2 elders and the saint rulers remained standing. Jian Chen said nothing. He stared calmed at them with a sharp gaze. His eyes were like 2 drawn swords. "We pay respects to the ruler." This lasted for some time, before half of the saint rulers also bowed down. They accepted Jian Chen's status. Only the other half of the saint rulers and the 2 elders remained standing. The 2 elders revealed ugly expressions. Their faces darkened very much, while the saint rulers who were still standing behind them looked toward the 2 of them. The elders clearly had power over them. "Humph, let's go," snorted the 2nd elder. He turned around and left. The 3rd elder and the saint rulers that followed them did not stick around for much longer either, following him away. The 2 elders understood that they could do nothing now that the situation had developed like this. The ruler had already won the support of the entire clan, so even if they questioned the ruler's identity, it was useless. This was all because Jian Chen's ruler's chi was the real thing. It was not a forgery, and even the ordinary clansmen could feel it clearly. As everything had developed like this, nothing could stop Jian Chen from inheriting the position as ruler in the clan. After successfully inheriting the position, Jian Chen settled down in the Turtle Clan. He devoted all his efforts into cultivation, hoping to break through the 2nd layer of the chaotic body within 5 years. If he did so, he would have the power to battle a 5th heavenly layer Saint King with his king armament. The news about a ruler reappearing in the Turtle Clan spread very quickly. For some time, all the second-rate organizations in the surroundings all paid visits to them with rich gifts to congratulate the clan, but all these miscellaneous matters were delegated to other people by Jian Chen. He did not appear at all, remaining in the beautifully decorated hall to cultivate. The next day, Hall Elder Hong went to the Turtle Clan in search of Jian Chen. When Jian Chen learned that the elder had come personally, he immediately stopped cultivating and received the Hall Elder in the hall. Jian Chen, is the final fragment of the Octaterra map on you? Elder Hong cut straight to the point and asked straightforwardly. Correct, I am indeed in possession of a map fragment. Has Elder Hong come today specifically for this matter? Asked Jian Chen. Elder Hong nodded with a smile. I have indeed come because of that today. Jian Chen, the Octaterra Divine Hall will be opening in a year and only people below the 15th star can enter. Each map fragment can permit 20 people to enter, so a total of 160 people will be entering from the 8 pieces. I've come today to ask you for 10 of the chances. Is that fine with you? That's fine, of course that's fine. Jian Chen agreed without any hesitation. He only had 3 people that needed to enter, so he had no use for all the chances to permit people in. The Sea Goddess Hall had even saved his life after all. Elder Hong did not stay for much longer, leaving the clan very quickly. With the elder's departure, Jian Chen also continued his cultivation, pouring his energy into powering up. In order to revive the Turtle Clan, he needed to be strong enough. Only power could determine everything. Without him noticing, Jian Chen had already stayed in the Sea Realm for over a month. In the Changyang clan of Lore City on the distant Tianyuan continent, a tower several hundred meters in height had appeared. From the very top of the tower, one could see a large portion of the city. The appearance of the tower in the Changyang clan had caused quite a large disturbance in the city as it had not been built up slowly. It had appeared overnight instead, as if it had just grown out from the ground. Changyang Zhu Yayan current sat by a window in her white dress at the very top of the tower. She stared blankly in the direction of the Changyang clan's main entrance, while her gaze was sorrowful. She would sit there almost every day, sitting for several days and nights every time this happened. She was unmoving like a piece of wood, completely petrified. Sigh, a long sigh sounded from behind her. Changyang Zhu Yunshao slowly walked up to the window in a similar white robe, gazing at the misty white sky in sorrow as well. He said, it's getting closer and closer to the day where Kong'er meets the end of his life. The seal is still present in his head, so he'll never be able to become a saint ruler. I wonder where Kong'er is currently. Is he still alive? Can we ever see him again? Chapter 907, Return of the Changyang clan ancestor. Currently, an old man flew in the sky several hundred kilometers away from Lore City. He traveled extremely fast, utilizing spatial force as he fused with the surrounding space. He traveled several kilometers in the blink of an eye. Jessen Kingdom, I've returned. Lore City, I've returned. Changyang clan, I wonder if you still remember your ancestor after so many years, said the old man with a sigh as he flew. He was Changyang Zhu Yunkong, who had just returned. He was the founder of the Changyang clan, known as the Changyang clan ancestor by people. Changyang Zhu Yunkong traveled directly for the Tianyuan continent after he had initially left Three Saint Island. He spent over a month traveling, covering several millions of kilometers before he finally returned to the Tianyuan continent. Once upon a time, Changyang Zhu Yunkong believed that he would never be able to return to the continent ever again. As a result, he was extremely excited as well as strewn between emotions when he returned this time. Finally, he could vaguely see Lore City up ahead. As he saw the huge city walls, Changyang Zhu Yunkong's excitement peaked. Arg! Changyang Zhu Yunkong roared out as he was unable to suppress his emotions. His voice was thunderous, echoing in the surroundings and spreading far off into the distance. He seemed to be venting all the steam he had gathered throughout the years. Afterward, he shot toward the Changyang clan like an arrow as he radiated with a vast presence. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao and Changyang Zhu Yeyun currently gazed down at the flourishing clan from the window of the tower. Suddenly, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's eyes narrowed and he gently raised his head to stare into the distance. He could feel the presence of a saint ruler rapidly approaching the area, but he paid no mind to it. As long as he doesn't cause trouble in the city, then let him be, thought Changyang Zhu Yunxiao. They protected the Changyang clan, and since the clan was in Lore City, they had vaguely become the protector gods of the city, which even made the kingdom's status increase greatly. I've already successfully become a saint ruler. I've gained another 2 millennia of life. I wonder if my parents are still fine. I need to pay a visit to the protector clan to see them sometime in the future. Though I wonder if they still can recognize me as I am right now. Many thoughts swam through Changyang Zhu Yunkong's head as he flew. He felt conflicted, scattered among many emotions. Changyang Zhu Yunkong boldly made his way into the city, slowly flying toward the bare center of the Changyang clan and landing there. The current Changyang clan is indeed much more powerful than before. All of this is because of my talented grandson. Changyang Zhu Yunkong constantly looked around the rebuilt clan. He was filled with excitement that he struggled to hide. How audacious! Who are you? You haven't entered through the main entrance. Don't you know the rules of our Changyang clan? A large group of guards immediately moved in unison and surrounded him as soon as he landed in the open space. They all wrapped around him aggressively. All their faces were cold. Changyang Zhu Yunkong could not help but smile when he realized the quality of the guards. The guards were much better than before, both in terms of teamwork and strength. Among them, he had even discovered a few Earth Saint Masters. The guards were never this powerful before. Just as Changyang Zhu Yunkong was about to speak, his surroundings froze abruptly. It bound him tightly, even removing his ability to talk. As he was shocked, a white-robed, middle-aged man floated down gently from the tower. He was Changyang Zhu Yunxiao. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao immediately became stunned the moment he saw Changyang Zhu Yunkong. His eyes were filled with disbelief as well as intense excitement. Although so many years had passed, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's appearance had not changed at all. Changyang Zhu Yunkong recognized him at first glance. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao stared at the old man who had trespassed the clan in such a bold fashion and could not help but frown slightly. He felt an extremely familiar feeling from this old man, as if he had seen him somewhere before. However, he was willing to swear that he had never met this old man. No one is allowed to trespass the Changyang clan. Leave immediately and come through the main entrance, or don't blame me for being impolite, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao said normally as he suppressed the suspicions in his heart. However, just as he wanted to wave his hand and send the familiar old man out, Uncle Chang flashed past all the guards in his caretaker's attire, directly arriving before the trapped Changyang Zhu Yunkong. Uncle Chang stared blankly at Changyang Zhu Yunkong. His old face instantly became flooded with emotion as he said with a trembling voice, "Master, Master, you've finally returned, you've finally returned." 2 streaks of turbid tears rolled uncontrollably down his cheeks, before he suddenly fell to his knees. He knelt as he said emotionally, "Master, you've finally returned." The surrounding guards were all stunned by this. They looked at each other with emotions of astonishment. Uncle Chang was currently the oldest member of the clan, although he was not the patriarch, even the patriarch needed to treat him politely. Yet Uncle Chang was now actually referring to an old man they had never met in such a way. It made them all tongue-tied. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's complexion changed suddenly. His heart tossed and turned, extremely moved. He stared at the old man who had trespassed the clan in disbelief as he said with a trembling voice, why, you're Konger." Changyang Zhu Yunxiao had already released Changyang Zhu Yunkong from the bindings as he said that, allowing Changyang Zhu Yunkong to regain control over his body. The white-dressed, elegant Changyang Zhu Yeyun also descended from the sky quickly. She stared blankly at Changyang Zhu Yunkong's old appearance. She too was filled with emotion and disbelief. Why, you're Kong'er. Are you really Kong'er? Changyang Zhu Yeyun said with a trembling voice. Two streaks of emotional tears rolled from her eyes. She was overwhelmed with disbelief. When Changyang Zhu Yunkong had first left the Protector clan, he still had the appearance of a man in his 20s. That face had been burned deeply into the couple's minds, making them unable to ever forget it. However, now that they had met again, Changyang Zhu Yunkong had become a wrinkly old man. It completely overthrew what the couple had anticipated, almost causing them to fail to recognize him. Changyang Zhu Yunkong stared back at Changyang Zhu Yeyun and Changyang Zhu Yunshao with mixed emotions. He fell to his knees and said with a trembling voice, "Father, Mother, Kong'er has been a horrible son. I have made the two of you worry. Kong'er, Kong'er, it really is you." Confirming his identity, Changyang Zhu Yeyun could no longer suppress her emotions. She shot toward him like an arrow, embracing him tightly. "Kong'er, Kong'er. My child, you've finally returned. Mother missed you so much. Mother had even believed that she would never see you again." Changyang Zhu Yeyun choked with sobs. The joy and other emotions in her heart had completely overwhelmed her. Changyang Zhu Yunshao, who stood to one side, also began to weep. He was extremely moved as he mumbled, "As long as you've returned. As long as you've returned. It has been so tough on you these years, Kong'er. Master, you've finally returned. This old servant thought he would never be able to see you again," Uncle Chang said emotionally. The surrounding guards all watched on in complete astonishment. Quickly, a few smart guard captains guessed Changyang Zhu Yunkong's identity and immediately bowed down. They cried out, "We greet the old patriarch. We greet the old patriarch." The other guards all returned to their senses and bowed down too. Afterward, all the elders and important members of the clan hurried over after receiving the news. They all came to pay their respect to the ancestors' return. "Kong'er, wasn't there a seal in your mind that prevented you from becoming a saint ruler? Why have you now become a saint ruler?" Changyang Zhu Yunshao asked as the three of them calmed down. He was filled with doubt. Changyang Zhu Yeyun had also noticed this and immediately revealed an expression of astonishment. She said, "Kong'er, you've actually become a saint ruler. Perhaps the seal in your head has been undone." Changyang Zhu Yunkong thought of Jian Chen the moment they brought this up. He immediately revealed a joyful smile and said, "Father, Mother, the reason why I could become a saint ruler was all because of a great-grandson by the name of Changyang Xiangtian. He risked his life to enter the depths of the fantasy star ocean and obtained a stock of 100,000-year dragon saliva. The grass's power suppressed the seal, allowing me to finally become a saint ruler." Changyang Xiangtian. "It's actually him," Changyang Zhu Yunshao and Changyang Zhu Yeyun both mumbled gently. They both revealed happy smiles, before taking their son into the tower with them. A barrier was personally cast down by Changyang Zhu Yunshao around the tower, restricting any sounds from spreading to the outside. Inside, the three of them conversed for a whole day. In that time, Changyang Zhu Yunkong told them everything that had happened since he left the Protector clan, and also learned about the most recent matters that had happened on the continent from his parents in detail. That included the matter regarding his great-grandson, Changyang Xiangtian, and the winged tiger god. Even with Changyang Zhu Yunkong's temperament, he struggled to stay calm after learning everything. He could not help but suck in a breath, quickly beginning to worry about the safety of his grandson. After all, the people searching for him were the 10 most ancient Protector clans of the continent. "Xiangtian, that child is currently in the sea realm. Kong'er, you don't need to worry about his safety for now. At least Saint Kings can't enter the sea realm. He should be relatively safe hiding there." Changyang Zhu Yunshao comforted him as soon as he noticed Changyang Zhu Yunkong's anxiety. The return of the Changyang clan ancestor caused the clan to celebrate jubilantly. In the morning of the very next day, the king hurried over impatiently after receiving the news. He had come to pay respects to the Changyang clan ancestor. However, when he arrived at the clan, Changyang Zhu Yunкong had already left the kingdom with his parents. They went to the protector clan to get the great elders to remove the seal in his head. Chapter 908. By Jian's calculations at the same time, in a concealed basement that was several hundred meters under the Huanggu clan, hidden in an ancient forest. Several fist-sized luminous pearls were lodged in the roof of the basement, which added some light to the dark room as they shone hazily. Currently, a girl in yellow robes sat on the ground as she cultivated. She was a beautiful, possessing a face of devastating beauty. She currently sat in the center of the room like a sculpture as powerful and pure strands of water-attributed energy radiated from her body. It caused the entire room to be permeated with a hazy mist and tiny water droplets had condensed on the surrounding walls. She was Huang Wan. She had been taken here as the disciple in name of the ancestor of the Huanggu clan quite some time ago, devoting her efforts to cultivation in this room ever since she had arrived. At this very moment, the door of the room slowly opened. A simply dressed old man walked in. His appearance was ordinary but his eyes shone with vigor. His gaze toward Huang Wan hid a sliver of greed and coveting in its very depths. Huang Wan slowly opened her eyes, looking with spirited eyes toward the old man that had walked in from outside. She slowly stood up, before clasping her hands at the old man. Master! This old man was the ancestor of the Huanggu clan. He stared at her with a smile and said gently, Disciple, how has your cultivation been proceeding? I thank Master for his concern. This scripture of the aqua sunflower suits this disciple very much. In just such a short period of cultivation, my strength has increased greatly. However, since disciple's saint force is water attributed, disciple's speed of cultivation should increase drastically if disciple cultivates in a place where water attributed energy of the world is rich. I hope Master can let disciple go out to find a perfect place for cultivation, said Huang Wan. Her voice was filled with spirit, like the call of a lark. It was extremely pleasant. The ancestor smiled and said, Disciple, you need to remember that everything must proceed with at a gradual pace. Your speed of cultivation is already extremely fast, so you must not continue with undue haste. Otherwise, it might destroy your foundations. You should stay here to cultivate in this period of time, to prevent the outside world from disturbing you. Master, Huang Wan wanted to say something but she was cut off as soon as she opened her mouth. All right, disciple, I won't disturb you any further. Cultivate well. I hope you can reach Saint Ruler at an earlier time. With that, the ancestor left. The doors to the basement closed up once again, leaving Huang Wan to stand alone in the center of the dark room. Suddenly, a book appeared in her hand. She casually flipped through it and murmured, Why doesn't Master give me the entirety of the scripture of the aqua sunflower? He's only given me a small part of the very start. Huang Wan looked around at the surroundings and a light flickered in her eyes. She could acutely sense that the surroundings had been enveloped by a barrier. The barrier was completely submerged into the soil, so it could not be seen at all. If she wanted to break it, she would need to break through the layer of soil first. This barrier was cast down by Master to protect this room from any external disturbances. But, Huang Wan pondered in her heart. She seemed rather confused. However, she dismissed these notions very quickly. She sat down in the room again and thought, I'm currently a 5th cycle Earth Saint Master. I should reach the 6th cycle soon with this current speed, before reaching Heaven Saint Master. I need to cultivate hard in the upcoming period of time and reach Saint Ruler quickly. Only then can I help Jian Chen. With a thought, her face darkened. Jian Chen's resolute, handsome face flashed through her head as she began to yearn for him deeply. Jian Chen, the entire continent is searching for you right now. Where are you? It must be very tough these days. 100,000 kilometers away from the Jessen Kingdom, several tens of thousands of people busied themselves with building the city at the base of the Flame Mercenaries. After these years of construction, the city that was completely made of tungsten alloy for the mercenaries was already 3/4 complete. The city walls were already over 70 meters in height. Although the city was incomplete, it already possessed a mighty presence. The current mercenaries were extremely influential. They had become the most powerful organization in a radius of several 100,000 kilometers. Even the hermit clans did not dare to provoke them over small matters as they had 2 saint rulers guarding them. With their connection to the Changyang clan, it even made ancient clans fear them. Currently, the mercenaries had already grown to over 300,000 people in number. Although they could not be compared to the army of any small kingdom, they were undoubtedly the strongest. Every single member of the mercenaries possessed quite some strength, and any one of them completely exceeded any soldier of those kingdoms. The number of Earth Saint Masters they now possessed reached the hundreds, with 40-odd Heaven Saint rulers. They were the supreme rulers of the region. Yu Yu and Bai Lian currently conversed in boredom in the palace that had already been repaired. The flame mercenaries had embarked on the right path with constant hard work over these years. In the recent period, the two of them had already delegated many matters to people below, only dealing with a few large, troublesome things when they appeared. As a result, their lives were now extremely relaxing, no longer as tiresome as before. "I wonder where brother is right now and when I'll be able to see him," said Bai Lian with a sigh as she sat at the table. A sliver of reminiscence appeared on her face. Yu Yu also revealed a vague sliver of distress and loneliness when she heard that. She also sighed. "I hope he can return safely. I will always wait here for him and help him manage the foundation of the mercenaries he had laid down. The flame mercenaries is his. He was once here. Sister Yu Yu, when brother sees how grand the mercenaries has become now, he'll definitely be ecstatic. For the captain of the mercenaries, you've done too much, too much," Bai Lian said sweetly. Yu Yu revealed a sweet smile and said nothing. However, as she stared at the hazy sky outside, there was a sliver of sorrow hidden in the very depths of her eyes. "I was rejected by you not just once with similar reasons. Now, I finally can understand your pains. Before, you seemed to be so glorious, yet you endured such great pressures secretly. I wonder whether you'll marry me after you return and deal with everything. I know that this marriage was set down by father all those years ago. Maybe I've never even formed an impression in your heart. I might just seem more like an ordinary friend to you, but you know, Jian Chen, your figure has already appeared in my heart. I can't cast it away no matter what." Several kilometers away from Flame City, over 10 middle-aged men on Class 5 magical beasts stood in a straight line. They gazed at the city from afar on a mountain. The flame mercenaries sure are extravagant to build a city completely out of tungsten alloy. "Just the city itself is an invaluable treasure of the continent," said a blue-robed, burly, middle-aged man with a sigh. "If another organization obtained this much tungsten alloy, they'd probably struggle to hide it. Only the flame mercenaries dare to act so fearlessly, boldly using it to build a city." A middle-aged man with flame-red hair also sighed. His eyes were filled with envy. The middle-aged man who seemed to be in his 20s smiled weirdly and said, "Everyone, the reason why I have called you all here over such long distances is not going to be as simple as just viewing Flame City." The middle-aged men beside him all looked at each other when they heard that. Afterward, one of them clasped his hands at the young man and asked politely, "Perhaps Prince Baijian has other intentions for calling us over?" "Indeed, I do have other intentions. I wonder if everyone has ever thought about taking the city made completely out of tungsten alloy." A cold smile formed on Baijian's face. The expressions of the men all changed abruptly when they heard that. Someone said immediately, "Prince Baijian, don't you know about the flame mercenaries' backing? Our mercenary group may not be weak, but even if we're 100 times bolder, we would never have ill intentions toward the flame mercenaries." "Yeah, Prince Baijian. Even if we ignore the fact that the mercenaries are supported by the Changyang clan of the 10 protector clans, I've also heard that they have quite the relationship with the esteemed Grand Elder of Mercenary City. even if we have tremendous courage, we would never try to do anything against them. That's just looking for death, added someone immediately. His eyes were filled with fear. A sneer formed on Bai Jian's face. What are you worrying for? Since I've called you all over to discuss this, I'll obviously deal with these possible fears for you. Yep, the Changyang clan of the 10 protector clans is indeed powerful, but the reason for the protector clan's existence is to protect the Tianyuan continent. They have an agreement to never interfere with anything regarding the continent unless it's directly connected to the continent's safety. I can guarantee you that if people from the Changyang clan interfere with you when you fight for the city, the 9 other protector clans won't just sit around and watch. Now with the matter of the winged tiger god, there should be quite the disagreement between the Changyang clan and the other protector clans. As for Mercenary City, there's no need for you to worry at all. The reason for Mercenary City's existence is almost the same as the protector clans. Although the Grand Elder of Mercenary City possesses the greatest power and status, everything he does is equivalent to what Mercenary City does. If he dares to interfere with what goes down with Flame City, just the disagreement of the other elders is enough to restrict his actions, even if we ignore whether the protector clans will agree or not. Bai Jian, are you really sure that the other protector clans will stop them from interfering? Asked a middle-aged man worriedly. Bai Jian laughed confidently. Don't worry. My father has a deep bond with a great elder of the Yuan sect of the 10 protector clans. Through this relationship, I've already secretly formed an agreement with the other protector clans. The Changyang clan is too strong now. Not only do they have 3 geniuses, they've even formed a connection with the Pure Heart Pavilion and the Arctic Ice God Hall. It has technically already broken the balance between the 10 protector clans. The other clans will definitely not just watch this through. Chapter 909, Qin Qin takes a master. The men around Bai Jian all began to breathe heavily when they heard this. Their glances toward the Flame City that was still under construction no longer possessed any fear, now replaced by an intense greed. Prince Bai Jian, if the Protector Clan and Mercenary City really won't be interfering, what else do we have to fear? One of the middle-aged men immediately said excitedly. Even with the entire Tianyuan continent in perspective, a city completely made out of tungsten alloy like Flame City was enough to make everyone green with envy. Let alone hermit clans with saint rulers, even ancient clans that possessed saint kings would drool at it. The reason why they never dared to move against the mercenaries was all because they feared the protector Changyang clan and Mercenary City. If it were not for these 2 powerful organizations supporting them, the mercenaries definitely would not have the power to keep such a large tungsten alloy mine in possession. Alright, as long as the Flame Mercenaries doesn't receive any other powerful support, we, the Apocalypse Mercenaries, will also take part. Afterward, many of them expressed their opinions. They were each a captain of huge mercenary groups, all with at least 1,000 or even thousands of years of history. Although they were only Heaven Saint Masters, there were many former captains that had stepped down. There were some saint rulers among them. Most of the captains were greatly attracted by Flame City, so they all signed up for the operation to take it. Only a few of them were left hesitating and did not plan to participate. Bai Jian looked at them with some cold intent, before looking toward Flame City once again. He said, the city should be complete in another year's time. When it's complete, it'll be time for us to take over it. I'll invite my father and a great elder of the Yuan sect to personally form a space gate when the time comes and deliver your groups in from several hundred kilometers away. That would be fantastic. With the help from the 2 esteemed seniors, it'll be too easy for our people to get here. The mercenary captains all revealed happy expressions. Beyond the continent, the heavenly enchantress currently sat on the edge of a cliff at the very top of 3 Saint Island. She had placed the simple zither of the demonic cry on a flat, smooth surface, gently playing the strings with her white and elegant fingers. It produced a pleasant sound. She was not wearing her veil, revealing her beauty that even the sky seemed to envy. Her hair fluttered gently in the slight breeze beside her ears, covering up a small portion of her face. It only amplified her beauty. The zither notes seemed to contain an enchanting, sagely tune, reverberating in the surroundings. It was filled with a sorrowful, miserable feeling that was able to influence the emotions of people and make them sad. The notes echoed gently through the area. All the small creatures who heard the sound quieted down, each and everyone stopping their foraging for food. They would lie down on the ground, listening quietly to the music that seemed to be the most beautiful tune in the world. The sadness within it even made some of the creatures tear up and cry. "What's with Master? Why is she sad for no reason?" Xiao Yu glanced toward the heavenly enchantress location with suspicion. She was filled with doubt. "I can feel that Master seems to be very sad and very miserable. It's so weird. Why does Master feel like this?" Xiao Qian also said doubtfully as she blinked her bright eyes. They were baffled by why the heavenly enchantress would feel like this with no evident reason. The sad music gradually stopped. The heavenly enchantress had stopped playing the zither. She placed her hands gently on the zither strings, gazing lifelessly at where the sea and sky met. Her face was a mix of emotions. Sigh. The heavenly enchantress produced a long sigh and mumbled, "Do I hate you, or do I not?" She was currently strewn between different emotions. Suddenly, her eyes narrowed. She suddenly looked into the distance and with a gentle motion of her hands, she immediately ripped open space. It quickly formed a space gate. Through the gate, a huge and boundless continent could be seen. It was the Tian Yuan continent. The heavenly enchantress disappeared through the space gate, having already traveled to the distant Tian Yuan continent. Within the Tianqin clan of Walorant City in the Zhuya Kingdom, a young lady current sat all by herself in a pavilion. She played the zither, producing beautiful music which drifted through the garden gently. Although Qin Qin's zither had yet to reach the level where it could control the emotions of people, it possessed the power to influence and affect people's feelings. It could make them become unwillingly intoxicated by her zither notes. Qin Qin's zither seemed exactly like the zither of the demonic cry used by the heavenly enchantress. They were of the same color, size, and had the same number of strings. It seemed like the real thing. "Master Jian Chen, just where are you? Are you still well?" Qin Qin could not help but imagine Jian Chen's handsome, determined face. She was filled with a deep reminiscence, and perhaps because of her emotions, the music she played possessed a sliver of longing and concern. "Qiner, you're playing here again." A heavy voice sounded from behind her. The patriarch of the clan had arrived before her, staring at her with a smile. Qin Qin said nothing. She did not stop the gentle stroking of her fingers as if she had not even heard the voice behind her. "Qiner, your marriage with the first young master of the Zhuyun clan is in 3 days. Why don't you go and make some preparations," said the patriarch with a smile. The music suddenly stopped. Qin Qin said with a gentle but resolved voice, "Father, I don't want to marry." "Qiner, you're not young anymore. It's about time you marry. It's a pity that you can't cultivate, so your life is only as long as normal people. Otherwise, your father would not force you like this," said the patriarch. He too was filled with helplessness. "But I don't like the first young master of the Zhuyun clan. Does father want to force me into marrying someone I don't love?" Qin Qin's voice was filled with pain. Sigh. The patriarch produced a long exhale. He did not know what to say in this moment. At this very moment, a vast pressure suddenly appeared. It enveloped the entire clan. Before this pressure, all the guards of the clan felt like a boulder had come crashing down on them. It was even difficult for them to remain standing, and they were now all incapacitated. Even the Earth Saint Masters were the same, immobilized by the pressure. In the entire clan, the only person who was unaffected was Qin Qin. At this moment, a veiled, purple-dressed woman descended from the sky. She seemed like a fairy that came from heaven. She was filled with a dignified, divine, and consecrated aura. The woman carried a zither. She stopped 3 meters above in the air, staring at Qin Qin with the only thing revealed, her emotionless eyes. She said, "Are you willing to take me as your master?" The patriarch of the Tianqin clan had been bound by frozen space unknowingly. He stared at the mysterious woman in shock as his emotions churned. He struggled to speak. Qin Qin stared at the woman in shock, before locking onto the zither in the woman's arms. It was exactly the same as the zither she used. Are you the heavenly enchantress?" Qin Qin immediately cried out as she identified the woman through the zither of the demonic cry. The heavenly enchantress nodded slightly and said calmly, "You have drawn me here with your zither music. We're fated to meet. Are you willing to take me as your master?" I'm willing. Disciple Qin Qin pays respects to master. Qin Qin agreed hurriedly. She liked playing the zither, while the heavenly enchantress was equivalent to the god of zither. She had once dreamed about becoming a disciple of hers, so now that the opportunity had presented itself, how could she let it go? "You will need to come with me if you accept. You will go far beyond the continent for cultivation." "Are you certain?" asked the heavenly enchantress. Qin Qin hesitated slightly. A strong unwillingness to part appeared on her face, but her eyes became determined soon after. "Disciple is willing to leave the clan and follow master to beyond the continent. However, disciple would like master to give disciple the chance to bid farewell to her family." The pressure from the heavenly enchantress body had already disappeared, freeing the people of the clan from their bindings. The patriarch in the pavilion bowed toward the heavenly enchantress politely, before turning to Qin Qin. He said, "Qiner, are you really going to be leaving the clan?" Qin Qin nodded resolutely. "Father, you know that I can't cultivate and that I only like to play the zither. Only by following master can my fate be changed." The patriarch pondered in silence before exhaling deeply. "All right then. Qiner, go without worry. Whenever you have time, you need to come back and visit your father frequently. As for the marriage with the young master of the Zhuyan clan, father will talk to them about it and cancel it." At this very moment, a large group of people rushed over from the surroundings. The person in front was the young master of the clan, Qin Shao. Qin Qin immediately informed them of the matter that she had taken on the heavenly enchantress as her master, before bidding farewell to them. She knew that once she left, she would not be returning anytime soon. Afterward, it would be a journey of tens of millions of kilometers. Even when saint rulers hurried without any sleep or rest, it would take them over a month of travel. "Sister, brother respects your choice. In the future, brother will definitely become a heaven saint master and come looking for you in the sea." Qin Zhao's eyes were filled with tears. He was extremely unwilling to part with Qin Qin. Qin Qin's eyes also glimmered with tears. She said, "Brother, when you see young master Jianchen again, please give him this drawing." Qin Qin pulled out a piece of paper from within her wide sleeves, before slowly opening it. To no surprise, the drawing was of Jianchen. It was him wielding the light wind sword, in a sword dance all by himself. His posture with the sword was sharp, as if every strike was lethal. It was extremely realistic. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.